This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to an absolutely jam-packed edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. I'm Andrew Paterson, along with Michael Remis. And this is it. We've been talking about it all week. Goldeyes season begins tonight. Game 4 between the Moose and the Milwaukee Admirals. Ice and Moose Jaw going at it in game number 5 of their Western Hockey League Best of 7 playoff series down at the Ice Cave tonight. It's all happening, not to mention a full slate of Game 7 action tomorrow in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Oh, and Bomber training camp beginning as well. We are all over it. Here's the rundown of today's program, folks. We will talk Moose with Daniel Fink. Get ready for tonight's Game 4 downtown at Canada Life Center. We'll get ready for Ice and the Warriors with Brian Munz, voice of the Ice. Coming up, of course, 7 o'clock tonight, Game 5 in that series at the Ice Cave. We'll get ready for Goldeyes season with Andrew Collier, the general manager of the Winnipeg Goldeyes. Ed Tait's going to come on the program and preview Winnipeg Blue Bomber training camp. And amidst all of that, we will load up the buffet and welcome in Ken Wiebe of Sportsnet.ca and, of course, Kenny and Rennie. So let's get after it. A big thank you to the sponsors that have gotten us this far. Big show for us today. We'll tell you about that in a minute. Of course, Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, Wallace & Wallace, F Apparel, Vita Health Fresh Market, Culligan Water, Manitoba Battery and Royal Sports, Breezy Bend, Not Autocorp, Little Brown Jug, Princess Auto, Boston Pizza, the Nick and Nicky DQ Group, Assiniboia Downs, Canadian Club Whiskey, and our betting partners over at Coolbet Canada. Just finished up a new episode of The Lock Shop with my guy Dustin Nielsen. Check my Twitter at Hustlerammer for that. And of course, follow us on Twitter at LockShopBets. Make sure to check out that episode before things get going tonight in the National Hockey League. Well, for the 300th time in our 300th show, I welcome in Michael Remis to get things going. What's going on, dude?
Oh, yeah. 300th show. I'm feeling great. A lot of Winnipeg sports to get to here. As you mentioned, Ice, Moose, Goldeyes in action tonight, Bomber training camp. A lot of Jets topics that have been fueling some increased viewership over the last week. But also, tomorrow, not 1, not 2, but 3 Game 7s. I wasn't sure how they would stagger the times, but I guess triple header. So I'm feeling really good about that. So yeah, 300th show. Thanks everyone for tuning in here.
Yeah, they are staggering those games. 2:30 Winnipeg time for the Bruins and Carolina Hurricanes. 6 o'clock Leafs Lightning. 9 o'clock Oilers and Kings. And we will get to all the action last night in the National Hockey League as well. But just saying, run down. First of all, huge thanks to everyone that's been with us. For you podcast listeners, we greatly appreciate the support and all the new folks that have sort of found us over the last little while. We've really seen a big uptick on podcast downloads and, of course, the YouTube crowds as well. So we greatly appreciate it. Mention all the sponsors that have been behind us from day one. And tell you what, this is a hell of a day to celebrate 300, Reem, because as we kind of lay it out, it doesn't get much better than that. Well, it would be better if obviously the big club was playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But given that we are at peace with where the Jets are right now, everything else is happening tonight. And as I've been talking with a number of friends, I mean, the biggest decision is where you go tonight. I mean, are you going to the U of M to see the Ice? Are you going downtown to see the Moose? Or are you heading down to the ballpark to get into game number 1 of the Winnipeg Goldeyes season? No wrong answers in it. Some great options for Winnipeg sports fans tonight.
Yes, and also we have a couple playoff games as well at home. I know the Moose game is on TSN 3, so I mean, even if you want to stay in front of the tube, you could try to take in everything at once. The ice on WHL TV, so you had no shortage of options if you want to go in person. I know it seemed like a great atmosphere at the Moose. You can get an intimate experience at the ice, or be outside at the Goldeyes. Although it is quite windy, you may have to bundle up.
Yeah, definitely. Hoodie. Maybe you wear a toque instead of your normal ball cap. And by the way, speaking of ball caps, nice lid today. What a great way to enter Goldeye season. And Andrew Collier is going to join us, and we'll get a little bit of a look at some of the new merch for the Winnipeg Goldeyes now with their new red and white uniforms, going sort of all Canadian as the lone Canadian team in the American Association, but still partial to these beauties as well. We'll always be rocking this one. So ballpark, AHL, WHL, the choice is yours. We're going to hit it all coming up on the program. Ken Wiebe as well, and Ed Tait coming up a little later on. Reem, I want to get to the playoffs with you, but why don't we start off talking Jets for a minute? Obviously, there's no big news in and around the Winnipeg Hockey Club for the last couple days. I mean, we've been jokingly calling it Barry Trotz watch right now with the amount of excitement that was fired up into this city and this fan base when Barry Trotz hit the market on Monday after being fired by the New York Islanders. No real news on that, but listen, the Mark Scheifele topic has been, really is dated back to early on in the season here on Winnipeg Sports Talk, discussing, what the Winnipeg Jets do with their star center this offseason with 2 years left on the contract. And while I sort of, months ago said that this would be something that they'd probably consider with the way the season went, certainly the comments at the end of the season, there were many people, myself included, thinking that it's more likely than not that Mark Scheifele is not a Winnipeg Jet next season. Was very interesting to hear some comments from Darren Dreger yesterday on the RP show about Mark Scheifele's status for next year. And the reason I say it's interesting is that Dregs, of all of the insiders, seems to be the guy that has been most closely connected to the Winnipeg Jets. When they are decided that they're ready to float something out, he's been the guy that usually gets it. And that's why when we were talking about Elliot Friedman reporting that Mark Scheifele hasn't asked for a trade, I think it was likely to, kind of deduce that might be some sort of PR, at least information from the player and the agent side of things. But make no mistake about it, Darren Dreger over the years has been very tied into the Winnipeg Jets, and more often than not has had the information straight from the source. So when he said this yesterday on the RP show, I think it made certainly myself think that it's even more likely that what we've been talking about could very well happen. Here's the clip from yesterday's RP show, TSN hockey insider Darren Dreger.
And that's just the front office stuff. We haven't even talked about the possibilities around Mark Scheifele and what's going to happen there. I don't see a Winnipeg Jets lineup next season with Mark Scheifele in it. I just don't. And I thought that before Mark Scheifele came out and said what he said. The tricky part, Rod, is what kind of return can you expect for Mark Scheifele? Excellent contract, terrific hockey player. Are you going to get what you need to make that move? Because it feels like a move that needs to be made.
There's Dreger. And again, I just say that, you could have there a whole bunch of insiders that could have a report like that, and we'd listen to it and we'd take it. I think it means more coming from Darren because of his very tight relationship with the Winnipeg Jets. So he's not just coming up with that on his own. That'll be sourced. That will be going direct to the organization. And to be honest, it just pushes my opinion further that we are going down this stretch. And as I said, Dreger said he thought that maybe even before what we heard from Mark Scheifele at the end of the season. And I was sort of there as well. Just when you get that sort of report, especially coming out what we heard from Mark Scheifele at the end of the season, I certainly do think that for folks that maybe thought we were just sort of kind of having some fun and making things up and giving us something to talk about, far from it. I think it's very much a reality going into this offseason and frankly, the next couple months leading up to the draft in Montreal.
Yeah, we've been talking on this show about percentages, how likely it is that he's a Jets or how likely it is that he's going to be traded. And, you kind of can speculate and stuff. But when you hear Darren Dreger, and that was from the Rod Peterson show, a lot of people asking where they could find the full interview where he did talk about some front office stuff. Check out him on YouTube as well. But when he comes out and says, Mark Scheifele not going to be a Jet next season, I think that
he could have couched it. He could have said, "Oh, there's a chance they do it." I mean, when he says, "I don't think I can see Mark Scheifele being a Jet next year," I think that tells you that the ball is far down the road right now. Now, we certainly, didn't get any information on teams that they may have talked to or who could be interested in, but regardless of who you talk to that's connected in the National Hockey League, I mean, I don't think you need to be an insider to see the contract, the production of Mark Scheifele, how much is left on his deal, and realize that there'll be a lot of teams that'll be kicking tires and, might see what they can do. And, if they do go down this road, which I expect that they will, it'll be one of the biggest decisions Kevin Cheveldayoff has ever made. And in addition to the hiring of a new head coach, will be the most transformative move of the Winnipeg Jets Hockey Club, the core, the leadership group over the course of this offseason. I think it's pretty clear that something needs to be done considering what we just witnessed for 82 games.
Yeah, on the flip side, we'll give a shout out to Murad, who wrote in his latest article at The Athletic. He says, one source told me that despite the obvious issues in Winnipeg, Scheifele is more likely to be a Jet than not. So it seems like we are having conflicting reports. I'm gonna lean towards the not, but I think we do know that unless Chevy gets the deal that he's looking for, he's not gonna make it. We've seen that he makes the deals when the time is right. We saw that with Kane and with Trouba as well. So it's kind of like pretty rough for the Jets to be going through something like this again with a player not fitting in with the team. But
you know what? I mean, if anything, I think that there's evidence to say that, a move like this might help improve some other aspects of the club outside of just what's on the ice. It'll be very difficult to win a trade straight up if you're trading a player like Mark Scheifele. I mean, and I'm not going to say that there might not be some addition by subtraction in some areas of the organization, but there's a lot of offense and there's a lot of production that this young man's done for this Winnipeg Jets Hockey Club for a long time. And, that's what makes a move like that so crucial to get it right. And I will be interested. I mean, as far as when this happens, I mean, I do think that the draft in and around then is the most likely time that a deal like that kind of happens. Certainly history has told us that. But the hiring of a coach is also interesting. I mean, if there is going to be, if it's a Barry Trotz or it's an Alain Vigneault or, whoever, I would imagine that, they would like to have the new head coach sort of being somewhat involved or in the know on what the decision's being made for it. So never a dull moment in this offseason for the Winnipeg Jets. We knew that it would be like this coming right out. There's been some real interesting tidbits throughout the week. The availability of Barry Trotz has changed things. At least as far as what the topics are that many Jets fans are speaking about. But either way, dude, we're going to be talking about this, Mark Scheifele, the head coaching job, and everything else happening around the league as the playoffs weed out teams and we get closer to the big convention of the league's 32 teams together for the first time in Montreal in early July.
Yeah, but I mean, lots going on in terms of offseason Jets news. We could have some big movement and the hiring of a coach. We do have some other Jets news going on right now at the Worlds.
Yes,
we didn't mention this yesterday. Pierre-Luc Dubois and Adam Lowry were named part of the leadership group, given the alternate captain, Luc Dubois, wearing it today. So pumped for that. And you have to wonder if things do change in Winnipeg, if that could happen here, but. As far as the games go, tournament started today, and who gets on the board? Number 80, Pierre-Luc Dubois, scoring for Team Canada. They currently lead Germany 2-0. So, and Dubois, number 1 center. Lowry, number 2 center. So we do have some Jets action at the Worlds, and Nate Schmidt got an assist for Team USA in their win as well. So there are some, while they're not in the playoffs, there are some Jets on the ice in Finland.
Yeah, beautiful goal by Dubois to make it 2-0 for Canada against Germany so far. Stole the puck from a couple of German players at the blue line, took it into the center, took it to the net, ripped one top corner over the goaltender's shoulder, and made it 2-0. So, I know the guys would rather be playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but certainly for Jet fans, it'll be great to follow the Jet players at the World Championships, particularly Adam Lowry and Pierre-Luc Dubois, who are representing Team Canada. All right, let's get to last night's action in the National Hockey League. The Oilers survive and the Tampa Bay Lightning survive. Reem, I don't know. I've said this. I've sort of developing a bit of a soft spot for this Leafs team. The photo of the fans in Maple Leaf Square after Tampa Braden Point scored in overtime was morbidly funny. That is a lot of pain in that fan base. The stress levels amongst Leafs Nation going into tomorrow could be at an all-time high. Both teams have had great series so far. It kind of will be a shame to see one of these teams go home. But everything that we've talked about, the pressure coming out of the failures of the recent seasons, their 0-9 record when they've had the opportunity to finish off a series, it's all coming to a head tomorrow, and they've got to take out the back-to-back defending champs one more time to exorcise the demons.
Yeah. I mean, I was glued to the TV for this overtime. I mean, what it could mean one way if the Leafs were to win, and if they lost, you get, I mean, this is going to become a huge meme. I could not believe they just went right to that shot right after the goal. Let's show sad Leafs fans. And I just wrote a tweet oh man, I got, flashbacks of sports devastation when the Jets lost Game 5 to St. Louis.
Oh,
I mean, but for the Leafs to be 9 in elimination games, I mean, when they can win is out of control. Going back to, against Boston and losing 3 straight to Montreal last year, it's got to feel horrible to be that close to finally winning the series and to lose. I know Leafs fans and players furious with the officiating yesterday. You had the Kampf high stick on Cal Foot, some saying, may have not actually been hit him in the face. However, he hit him in the shoulder. I mean, isn't that still high sticking even if you don't hit him in the face? I could be wrong. I got to check it's still high. And then there was the other one. I mean, Leafs got, I was going to tweet out, Leafs got to be more disciplined here and see all the I'll see everyone come at me. I did not. But, you knew they were scoring, tying it up, and they had chances overtime. At least Vasilevsky was awesome. And there was Braden Point. That puck just so slowly trickled in. It was so painful for Leafs fans. And they have a good team. They played well. It just didn't go. It's not like the Oilers who haven't shown up for parts of their series.
They certainly did last night, and there was a big question as to the start that the Oilers had in Game 5 was dreadful. And really, we mentioned a lot of the problems and the issues in that game were self-inflicted. Connor McDavid stepped up and took over early in that game yesterday. I mean, there were not going to be any bad starts with the Oilers when 97 was focused the way he was last night. He scored 2 minutes into the game. And what was really interesting, they're going with 11-7 right now. And they kept the fourth line intact and had, Kane as an extra pair of wingers on the third line and rotated Draisaitl and McDavid through with that extra pair in the top 9. And certainly Draisaitl's hurt right now. He played just under 19 minutes. A valiant effort by Leon, but right now it's 97 that's going to take this team and, presumably into Game 7 and hopefully into the second round if you are looking forward to a potential Battle of Alberta, which I've been hoping for a number of months. But the Kings have been very resilient, Remis. They have bounced back a number of times before, and they've shocked Edmonton on a couple of occasions at Rexall, or what's it called? Rogers Center, Rexall Place, at their home arena.
Northlands Coliseum? What's it called?
Northlands Coliseum. Good one. So I think that this will be a very tight game. I know we just did the lock shop. We were looking ahead to some of the books and what the odds are. I mean, they had Edmonton at minus 220. I was looking at the Kings plus a goal and a half because I do think this game could be tight. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see if it gets to overtime. But the bottom line is they got the job done on the road without Darnell Nurse. They'll be a big favorite at home, and the opportunity is there for them to advance tomorrow night in the finale of 3 Game 7s.
Yeah, well, you asked me my picks at the end of the show. I hope no one listened to me because I did go 1 for 3. I had the Kings winning. They almost came back, but it was Tyson Barrie at the end. We do need to give a shout out to number 91. We talked about 97, but also 91 Evander Kane.
Natural.
Okay, I got to bring out my 91, or I guess it's a number 9, the natural hat. But most goals, Sportsnet stats tweet this out, most goals through the first 6 games of a postseason in Oilers history. Messier, 9. Gretzky, 8. Kane, 7. Curry, 7. Gretzky, 7. So Evander Kane in Oilers history books right now with his performance so far. He's been a great addition to the team for him. I wonder what kind of contract he's going to get next year. I mean, if someone's going to want to pay up for him, but he is delivering value for them at his low salary. He's a great player, and I joked the Jets could use a player like him. I don't think it's going to happen, but plays the type of game that they need.
I could not agree with you more. Evander's a bit of a unicorn. I mean, there aren't very many true power forwards with the package that Evander has. Now, unfortunately, that package that he has comes with a ton of baggage, but he's making the most of this opportunity. He went to Edmonton because I think it was the best opportunity for him to do exactly what he's doing right now, and that's producing and playing with top players. Now, someone might get burned signing to another contract afterwards. We'll see what happens beyond this year. But I'll give him credit for staying out of trouble, for doing what needs to be done and playing his ass off right now for the Edmonton Oilers. And 2 goals last night, 7 so far. He's making himself some money. And hey, I'm here for a little bit of character rehabilitation for Evander Kane. He's done a lot of dumb things. He's pissed a lot of people off over the years, including many of his former teammates. But I think he knew this was his last chance, and he is making the most of it right now. And he has been a godsend to the Edmonton Oilers. I didn't see too much of the other game last night, Reem, Carolina-Boston. But I will be honest, this was Boston kind of running away with that game last night. Everybody's held serve. Home ice has been the difference in all 6 games. And I'm sure the Caniacs will be ready tomorrow afternoon for Game 7. But that'll be an interesting way to get things going. I think of the 3 games, that's the one that I'm the least invested in. But I'm going to be watching it, looking forward to it. You got a feel on that one either way?
I haven't watched that one too much. I thought Carolina would be able to get over the hump this year. I picked them to go to the final, and I think it would be a huge disappointment if they were to lose. They've been building for this for a couple of years, and they've had some disappointments, but Boston's got that playoff experience, and it's been a home series where every home team has won. I do want to give a shout. I feel the pain also. I mean, we talked about Maple Leafs fans having the devastation, but this was a slow death for the Wild against the Blues. I don't know what it is about teams against the Blues in Game 6s, but again, the Jets, complete no-show in 2019, and there were the Wild it was over immediately. They were just playing it out, and it was the best Wild team in franchise history. They had a 2-1 series lead. They have had so much trouble getting out of the first round the last couple of years. You thought this was their team, but it was the St. Louis depth. They made some coaching changes, including putting Jordan Binnington in. I can't believe this Minnesota. And then the Minnesota misery was all over my Twitter timeline last night.
30 years of pain.
They haven't been in a championship game in the big 4 sports, NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, since 1991. And it's not like they haven't had good teams. The Vikings have been to championship games. The Twins have been division winners. The Wild have been division winners. They can't even get out of the first round. And I retweeted this list. I know there's going to be some Vikings or Twins fans here. This was a list on Twitter, Huss.
Look how long it is.
Some sad Minnesota sports fan put out listing every horrible thing that has happened to them. Blair Walsh missed field goal. Gary Anderson.
Well, the Gary Anderson, the 15-1 team that, he hadn't missed a field goal the entire year. He misses that one. They lose to Dan Reeves and the Atlanta Falcons in the 98 championship game. And then, the Favre Saints game is still criminal that they didn't win. And I'll never get over that. And I'm not even a Vikings fan. So the people that are bleeding purple have been through a lot. The Wild, just another epic disappointment. It's funny you compare that to the Jets series with St. Louis, because in a lot of ways, you're right. St. Louis came back, won the close Game 5, took control of the series, came back home. And I don't want to say it was a no-show for the Minnesota Wild, but it was their worst game. There was, one of the periods, they just had absolutely nothing going on. And, man, a pretty disappointing way for a team that, had such a great season. And, of course, now they move forward to a $12 million cap penalty, a $14 million and $14 million over the course of the next 3 seasons. So lots for them to do. Anyways, we'll hit the Coolbet lines, take a look at the lines for the games a little bit later on, and we'll see what Weber's got to say about the Stanley Cup playoffs when he joins us later on in the program. We are going to get to the Moose, the Ice, the Goldeyes, the Bombers, and the Winnipeg Jets. It's a packed show. We're going to start off heading down to Canada Life Center in just a minute. But of course, I want to thank our friends at Aikens Lake. I talked to Pitt Terem. They're out there right now, just the last bit of ice coming off the water. But there is so much water, I had to build essentially a new dock on top of the old dock right now. So they're getting by. I know it's going to be a big, big weekend as they get ready to officially open this week. Wishing them all the best. And if you are thinking of, speaking of the best, the most incredible fishing experience in the province of Manitoba, Aikens Lake is the place to do it. Find out more at aikenslake.com, whether you're looking for an incredible family trip or potentially a corporate outing after months and months of Zoom meetings. Aikens Lake is the place to be. There is limited availability remaining for the summer. Find out now over at aikenslake.com. Big thanks to our friends at Wallace & Wallace, Winnipeg's fencing and overhead door specialists, serving residential and commercial customers since 1946. If you need the security and protection of a new fence, give them a call. Vinyl, ornamental, welded wire, chain link, or wood. They've got the right one for you. And if it's time to replace your garage door, Wallace & Wallace has Winnipeg's largest selection of overhead garage doors. Give them a call at 452-2700 to arrange the experts coming down for a free estimate. Pop into their showroom on Lawson Road off of Kenniston, or you can visit them online at wallacefences.com. We got some big events coming up. Really looking forward to the Rady dinner and more. Guys at F Apparel remind you might have been doing Zoom meetings and chilling at home for the last couple of years, but every guy needs at least one suit that fits and looks great. And F's custom-made suits start at just $400. All the new summer styles, fabrics, and textiles are in, over 250 to choose from. So pop on down to 190 Smith Street and check it all out and get suited up and ready to look good again for weddings, events, and more going forward. And of course, they still have that great promotion for wedding parties. Contact them more about a deal for you and your whole gang. And of course, Vita Health Fresh Market, great sponsors of Winnipeg Sports Talk, and the place where you'll find the best selection of natural organic supplements, beauty products, and groceries. And if you can't make it into the store, you can visit their brand new fully shoppable website to buy online or schedule a delivery with Instacart. But your best bet is to pop in and check out some of their delicious lunch options like Vitamarket, salads, soups, sandwiches, and more. 7 Winnipeg locations, including the newest store in Linden Ridge. And check them out online at their new revamped website at myvita.ca. All right, we're doing a tour of the city. So much going on this weekend. Started off with Game 4, the Calder Cup playoffs down at Canada Life Center. The Moose live to see another day with that big comeback win in game number 3, and they'll look to do it again tonight. The voice of the Manitoba Moose, who you'll see on TSN3 again tonight, is Daniel Fink, and joins us now. Fink, what a performance on Wednesday. First and foremost, how'd the TV gig go for you?
Well, first and foremost, is the mic working today? Are we good?
You sound like a million
Perfect.
US right
Love
now,
it.
buddy.
Love it. There was a lot of testing going on here in the booth. No, you know what? It was a lot of fun. It was some uncharted territory. I've done some TV games in the past, but working where you're beholden to the schedule and things like that, getting some of the timing down, and a little bit of nerves in the early going. It was pretty fun. So looking forward to we got some great feedback from around folks who were listening, and I've got one of the monitors here. I can see them working on the desk and things like that downstairs, making a couple changes. So we got that feedback that's so valuable, and we were happy that everybody, first off, loved what we were doing. Second off, had some great constructive criticism. So we're able to apply that here today and hopefully take it to a whole new level for this show. Of course, we'd rather see you behind me here, or I guess in front of me when I'm actually calling the game. But if you're watching on TSN, it should be a great product here tonight.
Cannot wait for it. You mentioned a little bit of nerves for you. I'm not sure there's a little bit of nerves for the Moose, but it certainly wasn't a great start. Cody Glass coming back home and scoring in the first 20 seconds of the hockey game. and then Ville Heinola getting pickpocketed at the end of the first period, and it ended up right back in the net. And all of a sudden, going to the break, the team's down 2-0 in the series, down 2-0 in the game. This was a moment where we saw a team that has done a lot of winning dig deep at the most important time and completely turn that game around in the second period. What a comeback.
Yeah, certainly not the ideal start that the Moose were looking for. And you know what? In the last couple of days, they mentioned that. They said, you know what? We were feeling a little bit of nervousness. We were maybe gripping the sticks a little tight, trying to do too much. And they went into the room, and some of the leaders and the coaching staffs just calm it down, guys. Like, you know what you've got to do. You know how you've played the last couple of games despite not getting the results. You know how good we are at home. And they came out a completely different team in that second period. Now, it has been interesting that the Moose really this series have not gotten off to great starts. We kind of talked about that last time. So they'll be looking to change that here in this game, and you wonder if maybe finally getting some goals to go, finally finding a little bit of offensive jam might be what they need to shirk off maybe some of the nervousness and some of the tightness that they've been feeling throughout those games. But it certainly was quite the impressive effort for them to come back like they did, but no goal larger in their season than that power play tally from Morgan Barron. One, it got the power play going. Two, it got this raucous building that you were right in the middle of, Huss, going. It got the scoring. It just seemed to loosen everything up, and we'll see if they can carry that forward into game 4.
One goal was so important just to get things going in the right direction for the club. And it was great. We spoke with Morgan about it yesterday on the program and about his time with both the Jets and the Moose since being traded from the Rangers organization at the NHL trade deadline. And it was the Cornell connection going last night. It wasn't just Barron. Of course, our guy, WST favorite, Jeff Malott, coming up with a big one as well. But honestly, the guy that stood out to me the most on Wednesday night, Fink, was not, and we've talked so much about the defense. It wasn't Ville Heinola, it wasn't Dylan Sandberg, it wasn't Johnny Kovacevic, who I love, it wasn't Declan Chisholm. It was Leon Gavanka, who at times, he was the one guy that didn't get the call up. I mean, not only did he contribute in a huge way offensively, but he channeled the old Eric Tangradi back-to-back blocks late in the game. And it was just a perfect example of guys doing anything and everything they can to help their team win. What a performance by the young German.
Well, yeah, and he's had such a great season. Of course, led the Moose Blue Line in scoring this season with 36 points in 65 games. And when you look at his campaign, you know what? He didn't have the second season that I think he would have wanted, but he went away in the off season and he really put in the work and came back. The conditioning was better, the strength was better, the speed was better, and that combination really helped him become a much more effective player for the Manitoba Moose. He already had the shot, he already had the smarts, and he's become more physical over the last 3 years as well. So to see it all really come together in the playoffs, he plays so well with Declan Chisholm. They just seem to read off each other, know exactly what's going on. And there were a couple of times where Chisholm may have got into trouble and Gavanka was there to help out, and likewise the other way for Chisholm. So that pairing has really become so important for the Manitoba Moose. I mean, Chisholm is, tied for third in league scoring in the playoffs with 5 points in 3 games. Gavanka's right behind him and got the game winner last night. But when you're up by 3 late and you see a guy laying out for that first block and then getting up and then just kind of, you could almost see he's like, oh, this is not going to be good, and gets in front of the next one as well. But it takes a lot of courage to get into those pucks, but especially so after you've already been stung by one. So to see him do that and to hear the crowd's reaction to that, I think that's one of my favorite parts about being in a Canadian market is some markets might not appreciate just what that takes. But the place was going absolutely bonkers. Might have been as loud as some of the goals when he made that second block. So for him to get that ovation and then a bit of relief as he went skating out for that first star nod after kind of being dragged off the ice too. So it was quite the night for Leon.
Well, and on that, I mean, the crowd was loving it and appreciate him as, for what he had done. And so were his teammates. I mean, he was borderline mobbed getting back to the bench. And I mean, that's what a team needs to do in the playoffs anyways, but especially when your back's against the wall, everybody's stepping up. Another guy that stepped up that I think probably really needed to for his club was Mikhail Burden. Wasn't a great first period for obvious reasons with the 2-goal deficit, but man, despite the fact that the Moose really took over the game, there was long stretches without action, but there still was some strong scoring chances for the Milwaukee Admirals. And the Birdman came up big in that final 40 when they needed him. And almost scored a goal too. He needed a little bit more air on that one, Fink. I would have loved to have heard your call if that one got in. We would have needed to maybe get the defibrillator up to the TSN3 booth.
Well, I was winding it up hard because I didn't think there was any way somebody was getting in the way of that. So it was either going to go in or just miss. But Matt Donovan came flying in from out of nowhere there to make that save. Otherwise, I mean, Burden would have been the first AHL goaltender to legitimately shoot the puck and score in the playoffs. Max Legacy, I think, or Manny, I'm not sure which one. There was a Legacy, sorry, that did score, but it was in off of somebody or put back into the net. But of course, the Winnipegger, Joel Hofer, scored last night, so he ends up getting that honor. But so kind of a crazy couple of days. But that would have been something. But for Mikhail, yeah, that was a big game. I mean, probably didn't start the way he wanted it to. A kind of a weird goal. He was trouble finding that puck off the rebound and figuring out where Glass was going to put it. Not much chance on the second one. Jimmy Huntington in all alone there. But the rest of the way, I mean, go back to that one save he made on Cody Glass coming across to the near side. And that was kind of the big save. And the moment that he needed to have for this team to come away with that stop was absolutely crucial.
No doubt about it. And one other great story, we should mention Luke Johnson. This is the guy that has had his fair share of adversity this year, comes back in and gets a big goal to help his club get on the board and stave off elimination.
So on top of it, the Selly to give us pictures for the rest of the playoffs to work with for that. So, for Luke, I mean, it's been a bit of a battle coming back off that second injury. First time he came back, he was a point-per-game player before breaking his leg again just 6 games later. But it's been a bit more of a struggle this time to kind of find the timing. And when Bobby Lynch opened it up, you knew that puck was going to be in the back of the net with a shooter like Johnson. So you hope that gets him going. I mean, the Moose got some key goals from key guys. I mean, you mentioned Jeff Malott already. Luke Johnson's a guy that they need to get scoring. Those are 2 key options for the Moose that maybe now start to feel the puck a little bit better. Malott's had all sorts of chances early on in the series. Johnson to get that goal was big. But I wrote a pretty decent-sized article about him earlier on in the season, and to sit down and talk with him kind of exclusively about that situation and what he went through this season was pretty eye-opening. And he's a guy that doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He's so even-keeled and was able to get through the first injury, and it was great to see him back. And then to see him go down again was just crushing for everybody in the organization, most of all Luke. So to see him get that big goal in the playoffs, to see him be able to celebrate that with his teammates, you want to talk about a guy getting mobbed on the bench, he was as well. So hopefully that's able to kind of get him rolling. Scored a couple of nice goals in pregame skate earlier today. So the Moose could certainly use that, because that depth scoring that they can bring to bear, we saw it pretty much from every line on Wednesday, is really one of their advantages.
Game 4 tonight, 7 o'clock. Puck drop down at Canada Life Center. Go to moosehockey.com to get your tickets and count yourself in. I hope to see you at the game. Dan, quickly, anything come out of the morning skate today? Do we hear anything from Coach Morrison? And I guess on the Milwaukee side, do we expect to see Rocco Grimaldi, one of the real AHL stars, in the game tonight for the Admirals? He didn't play in Game 3. And any idea about whether it's Cooley or Connor Ingram getting into the net?
Looks like it's going to be a pretty similar, if not the same, Moose lineup here tonight, but haven't really seen much from the Milwaukee side of things. Pretty tight-lipped over there today so far. So my hunch is that we may see both of those guys. I mean, it's getting to that key point, and we had been hearing rumblings that Grimaldi was really close. He saw him on the ice yesterday. He has been skating, so he's certainly ace up the sleeve if you can put him in. He was very good against the Moose this season. He is an elite AHL player, and of course, Connor Ingram is an elite AHL goalie. My guess, we see both of them, but we won't know until we see the official lineups come out. But regardless, the Moose know what they have to go and do. They've laid out their blueprint for success against Devin Cooley, and it doesn't really change against Connor Ingram. They got to take away the eyes, and then they'll be able to find some success. So ticket sales have been great so far today. They've been humming along. Love to see everybody here.
Absolutely. So again, option A is to get down to the building, and option B will be check out the broadcast on TSN3. And of course, Paul Edmonds filling your big shoes in the Moose booth over on 680 CJOB. Finker, good luck to the squad tonight. Hopefully, I'll be seeing you on Sunday at a deciding Game 5. And hopefully we'll be talking about round 2 next week. But a lot of work to be done. It all starts tonight at 7 when the puck drops in Game 4.
Looking forward to it. just a little bit more than 5 hours to go. The waiting game is on, but you know what? Soon enough, we'll be dropping the puck, and just like that game flies along. But looking forward to it tonight, and thanks for all the support, Huss, and looking forward to seeing everyone here at the rink.
You got it, man. All the best. Have a great call tonight, and hopefully Sunday afternoon as well. There's Daniel Fink, the voice of the Manitoba Moose. Well, that's not the only playoff game in the city tonight. The Ice and the and Moose Jaw are going at it in game number 5. We'll check in with Brian Munz in just a couple minutes. As we do that, a big thanks to the folks at Culligan Water for their great support of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Culligan, been the leaders in water services for 65 years, and they've got it all: water softeners, filters, bottled water coolers, drinking water systems, and citywide water delivery services, as well as commercial and industrial water products and solutions. Pop down and see them at 1200 Sargent Avenue, or find out more online at drinkculligan.com. Hey, many of you on the weekend are going to be working on some projects looking ahead to the summer. First and foremost, Manitoba Battery and the gang knows that your time is important to you. That's why they've extended their spring hours until 8 o'clock on weeknights to make sure you've got time to come down and take advantage of the best prices in town and shopping local with Manitoba Battery. Batteries for literally anything you could possibly need them for at the best prices. Don't waste your time and your money going to Canadian Tire or Costco. Shop local and get the best price in town at Manitoba Battery, 1026 Logan Avenue, and online at manitobabattery.com. And before we get to the ice, we've been talking a lot of soccer over the course of this year. I had a great time at the Valor FC opening game last weekend. We'll talk more Valor going forward, and of course, a lot more about Canada's men's national team. And the new World Cup swag is in at Royal Sports. Team Canada jerseys, white and red, Alphonso Davies name and number jerseys, as well as the Canada We Can 2022 World Cup shirt, all in right now, in addition to their expanded soccer section. But it's not just soccer right now. Softball, baseball, fitness, bikes. Get ready to dominate and make the most of spring and summer with one trip to the only spot you need to go to, Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway, and follow them on Instagram at Royal Sports Pembina for their latest merchandise drop, sales, and details on the world famous tent sale coming up very, very soon. All right, we just hit up with the Moose with Dan Fink. Now let's get ready for Game 5 for the Winnipeg Ice. They can clinch a spot in the third round of the win tonight and a date with the Edmonton Oil Kings. Let's head down to the Ice Cave and hook up with Brian Munz. Munzy, what's going on?
Chance to wrap things up inside the Ice Cave. It's a really good scenario going into what should be a fun weekend.
No doubt about it. I guess first things first, you got to make sure that the boys get the win tonight, so you don't have to use that blanket and pillow for the bus right behind you. And save that trip for a big one against Edmonton. Fill us in on the games out on the road. I mean, obviously 2 dominating performances at home. Bit of a slip up in game number 3, but right back at it in the win column, and now 60 minutes away from hopefully moving on.
Yeah, they were really good, as you know, in the first 2 games. Outscored Moose Jaw by a margin of 13-1, and we're simply just the better team. And even talking to Mark O'Leary, the head coach of the Warriors, he thought they left a lot on the table that he was kind of waiting for their team to try and do, and they never kind of flipped the switch. But the one thing that we've seen from Moose Jaw this year is their dynamic on home ice. And if you want to break it down during the season, they were a below 500 team on the road, and they went 23-9 inside Mosaic Place and beat Winnipeg actually 2 of the last 4 games that they had played during the regular season, and both of those games were in southern Saskatchewan. So the Ice knew that they would have a bit of a hornet's nest coming up on Tuesday night, and the Warriors played really well. And then, 24 hours later, game 4, we saw Winnipeg kind of get back to that game that they had success against to open up the series. So I think overall right now, the depth for the Ice that, you and I have talked about it all season long has been a big reason why they've had so much success, was something they were able to use to their advantage in game 4, and see if they can carry that momentum here and wrap it up tonight, because Edmonton's waiting.
Munzy, one of the things we talked about with this Ice crew going into the playoffs was the lack of experience. I mean, most of the players on the team had never played a playoff game. There was, though, one player, and that's Jack Finley. He, of course, was acquired in a midseason trade as a big addition for a big playoff run. And, they're getting their trade worth right now. 5-game goal-scoring streak. Speak about the impact of the big guy up front.
It's been tremendous. And you're right. It was him and Jared Newell were the only players 3 years ago that had any playoff experience, because year one, obviously, for the Ice was when the pandemic hit here in Winnipeg. And then year two, they played in Regina last year in that Subway Hub and didn't have any postseason play after they went through their 24 games just to make sure the players were continuing to play. So this is an exciting time for everybody. Like, you think of all the veterans that, and then, I guess to back it up even further, some of the older players like Collier and Jacob Smallwood and Nolan Orzik, guys that have been here since, James Patrick and Matt Cockle and Jake Heisinger kind of took over. They weren't a playoff team when they left Cranbrook. So this is a great chance for these guys to wrap up their junior career with this kind of a run. But you know what? Finley is, I don't want to say a man amongst men, because that is, I don't want to degrade anybody that he's playing against or with that isn't as big as he is. But when you're 6'6" and 220 pounds, you are very mature for playing here against really some 15 and 16-year-old players, either on his team or the other side. And he's been able to use that experience to his advantage. And that's why the Tampa Bay Lightning have selected him in round 2.
Speaking of young kids, how's Zach Benson doing? I mean, he's had such an unbelievable start to his junior career. Last year in the bubble, this year as a full-time member of the club, and now getting his first taste of playoff action with the Ice.
Well, he leads them in points, and he's a 17-year-old as of yesterday. So,
birthday boy.
Yes. Yeah, he got to ride 7 hours on the bus home from Moose Jaw during his birthday. So it was fun. Everybody had a little bit of fun with him yesterday. He's always in the center of things off the ice, even inside the room. He's one of those kids that everybody loves to be around, whether it's the off-ice staff or whether it's his 21-year-old players. He's a special kid both on and off the ice. And on a line right now, James Patrick kind of moved it around in those last couple of games. He separated Connor Geekie and Matthew Savoy, and Mikey Milnes jumped onto that line now with the injury to Jacob Smallwood, trying to, have lines 1, 2, 3 or 1A, B, C, whichever way you want to look at it here, as usable as possible to try and spread out the minutes here. So Milnes jumped up there with Benson and Savoy, and they've been really, really good.
Well, and let's talk about Savoy for a minute. We had him on the show yesterday. What an impressive young man. We've seen what he's been doing on the ice all season long, but seems to be ready for his draft interviews. I'll tell you that much. He really came across well. And I'll tell you what, I mean, he has been one of the real leaders for this club all season long, being the leading scorer, first star on the weekend. And as we spoke with them, I wanted to get to a potential matchup with the Edmonton Oil Kings that we've sort of been thinking about, but there's work to do, so we didn't go there right now. And from his perspective, I mean, they felt good with the game in game number 4, and obviously the goal with Matt and the entire squad is to not have another trip out west until you got to go to oil country.
Yeah, they'd like to go through Moose Jaw. They just don't want to stop and play there. But you're right. There's no looking by Moose Jaw. The Warriors have had too good of a year, and they deserve a lot of respect, because you think about it, and I know you and I kind of touched on this before the series began when we were going back and forth off the air. There's up to 10 or 11 kids that are playing in this series between the two teams that I think are going to be in the NHL here over the next 3 or 4 years. You look at the ones that are drafted already. You look at, obviously, Savoy and Geekie and Matejchuk and Furcus, who are expected to be high-round picks this year. And then you've got Benson that we talked about, and Braden Yager, and, some other players that are kind of – they're going to get drafted. You just don't know exactly when this year and next year. So for fans that love the National Hockey League like we all do right now, this is your best chance to see what these young kids are all about at a young age.
No doubt about it. And of course, it'll be another great atmosphere as the crowd's been going throughout the season, and really packed near capacity. Tickets are still available tonight. And I'd imagine we'll see an ice team playing with a sense of urgency. Now, I mean, they are still in complete control of this series, Brian, but we sort of joked about that trip out west. The Edmonton Oil Kings are already sitting there waiting for the winner of this series. So it certainly is in the Ice's best interest, assuming that they are planning on winning this series, to get it done tonight and get ready to prepare for a matchup that really people that have been following the Western Hockey League have been looking forward to all season long.
Well, it's all we've heard since day number 1, really, right? Like, everybody just kind of wanted to fast forward to the Eastern Conference Championship. But, Edmonton's got a really good team. They've got a handful of kids, obviously, that played for Canada, the World Junior Hockey Championship. And they were able to roll through their first 2 rounds quite easy against both Lethbridge and Red Deer. And I went out to Brandon, saw Game 6 when the Rebels eliminated the Wheat Kings in a lot of extra hockey. I saw 2 games and 1 that night. And Brandon gave him a much harder run than what Red Deer gave Edmonton. So I talked to Brad Lauer real quick, the Oil Kings coach, yesterday, and they're excited. They obviously don't know if it's going to be Winnipeg as of yet. We all believe it will, but this should be a great hockey game here tonight for sure.
Well, I mean, hopefully the club gets the win tonight. If not, they will have to travel and play a Sunday game. And if necessary, if the series could go to 7 games, it would be Tuesday. If they do get it done, do we have an idea as to how early the next series would start, Munzy?
Not yet, because the Oil Kings play in the same rink as the Oilers, right? So the big boys get full advantage of the schedule here right now. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in Game 7 between the Oilers and Kings. And obviously, you got to wait and find out if when this series comes to an end between the Ice and the Warriors as well. So if I would guess that it's going to start next weekend here because Winnipeg has home ice advantage. But to find out exactly which day that is hasn't been announced yet by the league for sure.
Hey, listen, before we go, speaking of those Oilers, and the best thing that could happen would be a nice win tonight, because then you'd be home, you'd be able to settle down and watch 2 amazing Game 7s. Oilers, Leafs, who makes it through, or do either of them?
You know what? I'm going to say both will. I think I like Edmonton's chances back at home in Game 7. It's a neat story with Todd McClellan, who I go back to 1993 with when he was the head coach of the North Battleford North Stars in the SJHL. It was my first interning gig, so that just kind of dates how old Todd and I are. But you know what? I think everybody wants to see McDavid and Draisaitl continue on because they're so much fun to watch. And the Toronto-Tampa series, I was glued to it the entire day last night when I was doing my prep, and that was a fun finish as well. And as we talk about Moose Jaw and Winnipeg playing here tonight, it was a former Warrior, Braden Point, that got it done last night for the Lightning.
What a player he is. It has been an amazing series. I'm glad they're both going 7, and I think I'm sort of leaning your way too. I mean, a lot of Canadian content, and listen, sign me up for a Battle of Alberta. It's been a long time since we've seen it. Wouldn't that be great if it happens? But of course, focus is tonight, 7 o'clock, the Ice Cave. Fill people in on what's going on, where they can get tickets for the big matchup tonight in Game 5.
Yeah, tickets are available online right now. Go to winnipegice.ca. And of course, we love the opportunity when you see all the kids on the scoreboard and the dance cam. It's really a fun family atmosphere. And we've got a special promo code that's continuing on right now, Huss, during your show. So email us. Just go on your email and send an email to info, that's INFO, at 50below.ca. Use the numbers 50below.ca and put Youth 12 in your subject line. And if you do that, if you purchase an adult ticket, we've got a free youth ticket for you for anybody 12 and under. So get the family out and let's have a fun family Friday night and wrap this thing up in Game 5.
What an awesome deal. Pack the rink tonight, folks. And again, that's info at 50below.ca. Munzy, good luck tonight. Hopefully we'll be talking and previewing Ice and Oil Kings next week after a dub this evening.
Sounds good, Huss. Have a great weekend.
All right, great stuff with Munzy. 7 o'clock puck drop tonight, Ice Cave, Game 5. And if they get it done, we'll be talking a lot about the much anticipated Ice Oil King series in round 3. Hey, do want to thank Derek Schmidt, Wrench Doozer, and Kenny's Water Bottle. Thank you guys. Really appreciate the super chats and all of your support of Winnipeg Sports Talk. A little bit of breaking news, and I know some people were talking about it in the chat. Sounds like Bruce Boudreau will be back as the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks this season. No word on any sort of a new deal. Don't believe that is part of the deal, as we heard from Jim Rutherford earlier. But Boudreau will be behind the bench for the Vancouver Canucks, so you can cross that name off the list. We will speak about that list with Ken Wiebe coming up in less than 10 minutes. But we are going to take a quick trip to the ballpark. But just as we do that, I do want to thank our friends at Breezy Bend. We always do our golf reports for Breezy Bend, and we can tell you right now that Ryan Palmer and David Skins, never even heard of David Skins, tied at the top of the leaderboard with Byron Nelson at 15 under par. 2 shots clear, Charles Schwartzel and Justin Lower. Top Canadian on the leaderboard is Adam Svensson at 6 under par. If you're looking for a great home for your golf, for your family, for golf in the future, talk to our friends at Breezy Bend about everything that they can do for you. the incredible clubhouse, course renovations, practice facility, junior programs, women's programs. Breezy has it all. An amazing social scene with the membership as well. breezybend.ca, or give them a call and talk to our good friend, Corey Johnson. If you are looking for a vehicle coming up this summer, start your search over at Knott Auto Corp. They really do have it all. Why not get into the car of your dreams at a great price with the help of the Knott team? And if you're thinking about going electric, ask them about the new Tesla Experience program. Well, you'll learn all about, get a chance to drive Teslas and find out how it differences from the cars that you've driven for most of your life. Knott Auto Corp, Waverly and McGillivray, and online at knott.ca. And hey, it's Goldeyes season. And Little Brown Jug is going to be available each and every game this season in cans. We're going to talk about that with Andrew Collier coming up in just a second. But if you're not at the ballpark, make sure you try that great taste of 1919 at fine bars and restaurants throughout the city. You can pick it up at beer stores or liquor marts around the city, or pop down to the tap room and brewery on William Avenue and get it all. And of course, you can also order online for delivery at littlebrownjug.ca. All right. Ken Wiebe teed up. We'll get to our weekly Jets conversation with Ken and a whole bunch more, National Hockey League playoffs. But before that, we've talked Moose, we've talked ice. The other big event tonight is the Goldeyes home opener. Let's head to Shaw Park now and catch up with GM Andrew Collier. Cash, what's going on? Looking good in the new look of the Goldeyes. What's going on?
Oh, we're so pumped up. This is so exciting. You know, in 2020, you and I talked, and not having baseball here, it was tough. It was it's all I've known for more than half my life, is being at the ballpark and to watch the team on the road. And so not a great couple of years, but so to have a home opener for the first time since 2019, it's exciting. I didn't sleep much last night.
Well, no doubt about that. And, you know, as you mentioned, I mean, the last couple of seasons, I mean, even last year, it was great to be able to get fans back in the ballpark. But, I mean, you were still dealing with some restrictions. Are we going to basically be back to what we remember from Goldeyes games up until the pandemic started?
We are back to normal. Absolutely. Ready to roll.
Well, and that new normal involves a new team, and we'll talk about everything happening at the ballpark. But let's talk about the squad. I mean, how's Rick feeling about the gang that'll be taking the field tonight? And what's the vibe around the team, especially with so many new players coming to Winnipeg for the first time and starting the home schedule much earlier than we traditionally have done? Usually there was that big trip to Texas, but not this year, starting with a relatively early for the Goldeyes date of the first home game.
Yeah, the vibe is good. The guys are pumped. 2 weeks ago, if you had asked me if we'd be on the field for our first day of spring training, I'd say doubtful. But Fergie and his crew just did an amazing job working around the clock to get the field ready. There was a foot of snow here a couple of weeks ago. Now it's ready to roll. To be able to have spring training here. We haven't had spring training in a couple of years, and we got to play all our preseason games. Didn't have any washed out or too cold. It was good. So they got their work in. They're ready to roll tonight.
Well, we might have to put a hoodie on, maybe replace the ball cap with a knit cap. But that being said, we're all systems go tonight, 6:30 p.m. Fill us in on what you guys have planned for the home opener this evening downtown.
Well, first and foremost, we get to debut the new home whites, which I think look pretty good with the red hats, red helmets. It's very, very Canadian looking, which is what we were going for, being the only Canadian team in an all-American league. That magnet schedules when people come in, fireworks after the game, providing the wind isn't as crazy as it is right now. All the things that we've talked about before that are new, the beer bats, the nacho helmets, lots of good stuff here.
Well, I mean, there's nothing like the food and drink options that are available to Goldeyes fans. I mean, for folks that missed it beforehand, you just referred to the beer bats. I'm very much looking forward to that. But if people didn't know already, I mean, this is the first debut of the full local beer lineup for Goldeyes fans. This is such a cool thing that you guys have done. Of course, our friends at Little Brown Jug, very excited to be a part of it. But let's talk about the suds. what's going to be on tap tonight? And for people, and if they missed before the conversation about what you guys have done when it comes to, something that's very popular at baseball games, and that's beer. And of course, you're doing it all local.
Yeah, there's so many great breweries in Manitoba. We thought, you know what, let's go 100% local this year. So at every game, there's going to be cans available from Fort Garry, Little Brown Jug, Trans-Canada Brewery, and Torque. And then Craft Beer Corner will be a rotation of craft breweries. So every homestand will have a different 4 breweries there. So different 8 beers. A total of 11 different craft breweries will be at Craft Beer Corner this summer. So every game you come to, there will be 18 different local beers. So if you can't find one of those 18 beers that you like, well, wait till next homestand because there'll be another 8 on tap at Craft Beer Corner. Maybe you'll find one there.
Yeah, go grab a Little Brown Jug and a can and take a seat and enjoy the ballpark. Okay, what about the beer bats?
Here we go.
There it is.
Finally got one with their logo.
Oh, geez, I see some bubbles in there. You just testing it out this morning, getting ready for game 1?
Not yet. Yeah, that'll be available at Craft Beer Corner, 26 ounces of beer. And if you're not a beer drinker, you can get that filled with slushy at our Brain Freeze stand. Yeah.
Well, this is phenomenal. Now, again, it's not just opening day; it is opening week. We've got game 6 o'clock tomorrow, matinee on Sunday, and then another series beginning next week. If people maybe are out of town this weekend, they will have a chance to see the new club and the new duds and everything. The ballpark. Fill us in on the rest of the week and the rest of this homestand before the team hits the road.
Yeah, so we've got Fargo for tonight, 6:30, tomorrow at 6, Sunday at 1. And then I have to look at my schedule. Sioux Falls rolls into town on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tuesday, Wednesday at 6:30. Thursday is an 11 a.m. matinee matchup. So sneak out of work, take the afternoon off, sit at Craft Beer Corner all afternoon, or just wander around the ballpark. Tons of food options to have some lunch. So, yeah, a lot of options this week to come on out and see us.
Now, that 11 o'clock matinee on Thursday, that will be, I would imagine, the school game. You always get a great turnout from the kids that, really haven't been able to do that for a couple of years. So I imagine this will be a big one. Do you have an extra 50 people to serve slushy bats for Thursday morning at 11 a.m.?
It's funny. My daughter is working in Brain Freeze, and I've warned her about that game. Be prepared. It is going to be a zoo there. So
bring a couple friends, just tell them we need them for a couple hours.
Get ready. And when SpongeBob SquarePants is played over the PA system, look out. It'll raise the roof if we had a roof.
Andrew Collier is the general manager of the Winnipeg Goldeyes. The home opener goes tonight, 6:30 p.m. at Shaw Park, 6 o'clock tomorrow, and then a 1 p.m. game on Sunday afternoon. Andrew, fill people in on a couple things, where they can get tickets, if they want to talk about maybe a ticket package or a group package at some point for a game, as well as where they can get their hands on the beautiful new look of the Goldeyes that you're sporting on the show.
Yeah, so goldeyes.com will take you everywhere you need to know, everywhere you need to go. Buying tickets, buying 50-50 tickets, you name it, order merchandise. We've got the replica whites in already. We're just waiting for the replica reds and grays, but you can pick up a replica white tonight at the game. Lots of new merch with the new logo, some great hoodies, T-shirts, hats, toques, you name it.
Well, you can see I'm proudly sporting the old road jersey today. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on some red and white as well and rocking it on Winnipeg Sports Talk. And, of course, at the ballpark, I will see you there this weekend. And, of course, coming up next week, look forward to having you on the show. But give Rick our best. We'll look forward to having him on the show sometime soon. And play ball. Have a great time. And here's to a great season, getting back to the ballpark, doing what we love.
Thanks, Huss and Remis. And, hey, maybe we can do a hoodie swap, Winnipeg Sports Talk for a Goldeyes hoodie.
Done deal. We'll done deal, my friend. We'll get you taken care of.
Before I go, good luck to the Moose tonight to extend the series. Good luck to the Ice, finish it off, and on to the next series. So let's go. Great sports day in Winnipeg.
Great stuff, Cash. All the best. Good luck tonight and the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys.
All right, great stuff from Andrew Collier. Tonight, 6:30, first pitch. Rest of the weekend, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, and an early game on Thursday for the Goldeyes' first homestand of the year. Princess Auto, proud sponsors of the Winnipeg Goldeyes, ready for first pitch tonight, and they're ready for Bomber season as well. Ed Tait will join us in about half an hour on the show, and we will get a little bit of a training camp preview from Ed. One thing I can tell you, speaking of previews, is the Princess Auto tailgate section is going to be rocking before every Blue Bomber game this year. And of course, Princess Auto is the spot where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is at Princess Auto. 2 Winnipeg locations, Panet and Portage West. And of course, you can shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. And with everything going on tonight, I would suggest going to one of your three options. We do, however, have an option to saddle up at a Boston Pizza and check out the action in the National Hockey League and, of course, the Moose on TSN 3. No better place to get together with the fellas or the gang than a Boston Pizza lounge. Chow on those gourmet pizzas, Boston wings, a few ice-cold schooners. And if you're staying home, you can order online at bostonpizza.com. All right. We're going to get to some hockey talk, I'm sure, and maybe even a little baseball. I know Ken doesn't mind a trip to the ballpark. Weeb's World, welcome back to the program. What's going on?
Tremendous to be with you, Huss. Happy Friday. I have 2 quick things. I know you just touched on it with Daniel Fink, but 2 years ago, Andrew Collier and I straddled up to the first tee box at Breezy Bend, and we're joined by none other than goal scorer Joel Hofer. The Winnipegger is a long and lean lefty who hits his driver a mile. We had a fun day out on the golf course, and what a call. You talked about how crazy Daniel Fink would have gone if the Birdman had pumped one home. If you don't get excited about this, you don't have a pulse. What a call by the Springfield announcer yesterday. Tremendous. And it should be a great night at the ballpark. It's a great place to spend an evening, and man, oh man, Mike McIntyre, our colleague, had a great story with Rick this week in the Winnipeg Free Press, and it got me back to thinking, Huss, I was pretty young on the old Goldeyes beat, around 2000 or so. Rick Forney had just been released, I believe, by the Atlanta Braves and rolled into town. And as I like to do, I like to try to find out about the guy's story, and I'm asking a bunch of background questions of Rick. And about 4 questions in, Rick looks at me in his friendly yet gruff manner and says, "You gonna ask me any baseball questions anytime soon?" One of the just classics. Rick Forney, a guy I've got to know pretty well over the years, and it's been great to see him. Man, he's been here almost 3 full decades, whether as a player, pitching coach, or a manager, and a guy who loves the community and has great passion for the sport of baseball. And it's he's excited to try to put together another championship season.
I can't wait to get out to the ballpark. I mean, it is honestly one of my favorite things to do often as I can. And listen, it's a crazy weekend. I mean, just tonight, the options for Winnipeg sports fans, even with the Jets out of the playoffs, I can't remember a night like this. And, obviously I'm pretty invested in the Manitoba Moose, and they're playing for their playoff lives. I'm very confident that we will have a Winnipeg Ice Edmonton Oil Kings series, and that is going to be must-see next week, assuming the boys get the job done tonight. And listen, we've got a full season of Goldeyes baseball. I've got my heart set on one of those nacho helmets and a beer bat as soon as humanly possible. But Ken, listen, we talked about all the other things. We know it's kind of funny. Today is episode 300 of Winnipeg Sports Talk. And I'm sure Mark Scheifele has been a topic on at least 250 of those 300 shows. But we played the clip a little earlier of Darren Dreger saying he doesn't see, a scenario where Mark Scheifele's a Winnipeg Jet last year. I give it a little more credence because history has shown that Darren Dreger has a pretty good pipeline into the Winnipeg Jets, and certainly on Newport Sports as well. But how did that resonate with you, who obviously is on the beat as well? What did you take from it, and what's the latest on that situation from where you sit?
Yeah, obviously it's been the hot button topic of the offseason, and the only scenario where it looks like Mark Scheifele could be back is something I wrote about this week on Monday when Barry Trotz became available. So as for me, if Barry Trotz does take the job, and that's still far from a guarantee, But if Barry Trotz takes the head coaching job and says to Kevin Cheveldayoff that, hey, I'd like a chance to sit down with Mark before you make any decisions about his future, and if Barry is able to, or whoever the next head coach is able to connect with Mark in a way that lays out the plans that need to be adhered to in order for Mark to be a contributing member to the Winnipeg Jets, I could see him back. And again, we know the other complicated part of the scenario, Huss, is the fact that Pierre-Luc Dubois needs a new contract, and he's 2 years away from being potentially an unrestricted free agent. So knowing how hard the Jets have worked to get Pierre-Luc Dubois and Mark Scheifele to be their 1-2 punch, I don't think they're in any hurry to move away from those two guys. But having said that, I would say that based on Mark's, whether it was his comments on the podium or, maybe his actions over the course of the season, that this might be a scenario where the relationship perhaps has run its course, and maybe both sides may benefit from a change of scenery, which we've seen apply to several other players over the last couple of years. Do I think it's at the point of no return? No, but I'd say it's probably pretty close to it. So I would say if I were looking at the Coolbet Lines, Huss, I would say it's highly unlikely Mark Scheifele would be in the Winnipeg Jets lineup in October. But the one thing that we also have to remember, Huss, history has shown us that the Jets aren't going to have any panic sales when it comes to Mark Scheifele. They know his value to other teams at $6.125 million for 2 seasons, which means 2 playoff runs. So there would have to be a deal that makes sense for them. And Huss, we've talked about this before. I expect that if Mark Scheifele is going to be moved, it'll be the week of the draft in Montreal, especially now that we know the Jets are picking 14th, at least for the time being.
Well, and it's a great kind of tie into the coaching discussion. And of course, we normally hook up on Fridays and chop it up with you here on WST, Ken. I mean, Monday was the bomb in the morning from Lou Lamoriello that Barry Trotz is on the market. I know you've written about it. We've talked about it before, that this was the dream scenario. Well, that scenario has sort of presented itself to True North Sports and Entertainment. I mean, listen, you're clear. I'm on the same path. I mean, this would be the home run hire for a number of reasons: on the ice, in the dressing room, in the community, business-wise for True North. It would certainly cost more than I think they were originally planning, but I certainly believe it would be worth it. I know you've been digging around. I mean, first of all, your reaction on Monday when Barry Trotz was on the market, you knew what the reaction from Jets fans would be. It was predictable, but it was massive, and it shows just how dialed in people still are to this club and the passion that they have for it. And what are you hearing about, behind the scenes with Barry Trotz, where he's at, and any potential contact or reaching out from the folks that are running the club here in the Peg?
Yeah, it's one of those scenarios where, again, Pierre LeBrun has sort of mentioned that Barry wanted to take some time, probably about a week's time, to kind of assess where he was at before he starts looking at the offers. And Huss, what we also know is that with 3 Game 7s potentially, or not potentially, there's 3 Game 7s on Saturday night. And there could be a coach or two that could be in peril in terms of his own job security should things not go their way for any of those teams that were very successful over the course of the year. We know there will be competition, but Huss, I know you've been talking about all week, so have we. Same with you. I know our show and our pop-up show Monday did great numbers. We had incredible engagement. It's great to talk to Stephen Wino, as you did as well, Arthur Staple and Elliot Friedman, about the prospects for Barry Trotz. I do think there's going to be some gravitational pull towards Manitoba. We know it's been a tough year emotionally for Barry, losing his mother, I believe, in January. His dad is still around. I think, his wife's family has connections to Manitoba as well. So there will be gravitational pull. And the one thing, Huss, that both you and I know about Barry, he loves a challenge. So again, everyone says, well, why would a coach want to go to a situation like Winnipeg where it looks like there's a bunch of things that need to get taken care of and sorted out? Well, coaches are problem solvers, right? Where some people would say, I want the easiest solution. Barry wants to drill down on the problems and help find the solution. So to me, he won't be deterred by anything that we heard at a podium or down the stretch for the Winnipeg Jets. We've talked about this before. All that showed to me was investment on people that want their situation to improve. Barry Trotz is someone who would probably help that situation improve, given his emphasis on culture and accountability. I mean, those are two things the Jets will be looking for in the next head coach hiring. So I was surprised for sure. I mean, there were starting to be some whispers that maybe things weren't as good on the island as maybe they had been previously. But let's not forget, I mean, this guy went to the conference final 2 years in a row and lost a 1-0 game to the Tampa Bay Lightning last season. So Barry knows what he's doing. He's the third wins in all-time NHL history. He has not passed his expiry date. This guy, and again, for all the people saying it's not a stylistic fit, like, the Jets are not the Islanders. They're a lot closer to the Washington Capitals that he coached. There is skill there, but there's also structure that needs to be adhered to.
The Jets style got them to the golf course after the first 82 games of the season. So I don't know why anyone would say that. Barry Trotz has adapted everywhere that he's gone and taken teams, made them better, and made them better quickly. And more often than not, squeezed out every bit of potential from his clubs. I don't know how that doesn't make sense for any team, but especially a team like the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, and Hassan, you talked about it, and so have we. I mean, to me, it's an investment in the brand, not just the team. Never mind 100%. The fact that this guy is an incredible coach. Whether it's $4 million or north of $4 million for multiple seasons, this is the type of investment that you're looking at long-term, sustainability for the franchise. I mean, having someone at the top who's interested, and here too, I mean, we know there's potentially, as Darren Dreger has reported, transition to the management side of things. I mean, Winnipeg would make sense on those fronts also, given their structure. So I think there's going to be a lot of appeal for Barry. Now, again, we know there are going to be other teams that appeal to Barry also. So one thing we know, I don't think money is going to be an option. We know there is a fit. We know there is mutual respect, and we know this is the guy at the top of the Winnipeg Jets wish list. I don't see a scenario. If Barry Trotz wants to coach in his home province, I don't see a scenario where it doesn't happen. Now, having said that, does he want to coach somewhere else instead? That is that's a legitimate possibility. But I don't think that money will get in the way of a deal being done here.
It's something that we've talked about all week, and I'm interested in your perspective. And I guess we sort of touched on it when we were speaking about Mark Scheifele. But if Barry Trotz, as opposed to all the other coaches that have been mentioned, Trotz in particular, that, has Manitoba connections, but, would be coming in probably assuming that he's got a clean slate with everyone that's on the roster right now. Do you think that at all changes Scheifele's situation, or does it make it more likely if Barry Trotz was hired? Let's say in the near future, because I guess part of it is I'm also interested in your perspective on how important it is to get a coach hired before they make any deals like that. But in your opinion, does a Trotz hire significantly change the Scheifele situation at all?
It can, Huss, and that's the big thing. I mean, without knowing where Mark is at, we know what he said publicly, but we don't know what he said privately. We know the way the franchise has viewed Mark since he was the 7th overall selection. We know everything about the statue, commentary, and all of those things. I mean, Mark spent a long time here, and he's been the face of the franchise in a lot of ways for a long time. I do think it's important. There's no rush. I mean, again, I understand people in our province want Barry Trotz hired yesterday, but they need to have a coach in place probably by July for sure, but I would even say June. You'd probably want to have at least a 2 to 3 week assessment period before you get to that week at the draft where a lot of the action is going to be happening, and then free agency happens right after. So if it happened in May, it's a bonus, but to me, maybe you'd look at that last week of May, first week of June as kind of an optimal time on the coaching front. In terms of the future, man, oh man, I mean, it all depends on where these players' heads are at. Again, Blake Wheeler, can Blake Wheeler buy in the same way that Alex Ovechkin did, where playing a couple minutes less might be better for him in the long term? Blake had a good year, all things considered. But again, can Barry Trotz convince him that his greatest value to the Winnipeg Jets is being on the second line?
Hey, let me ask you about that, because we talk about this, but I mean, what? I never have any questions as to what Wheeler, his effort level or his desire to win. Why are we talking about that? Will he buy in? I mean, listen, you're on this line. You're not on the first line. This is a decision going forward. I mean, I don't know. Are we worried that maybe there'll be a rebellion from the captain if he's not the number one guy anymore? I don't see that at all. I mean, to me, it's sort of, he's been in that position for a long time. And I mean, it did somewhat change. I mean, frankly, when he and Scheifele got split up, he's played in some different roles. I mean, I would assume that that's going to be the case regardless of who the head coach is coming in.
No, I agree, Huss. I'm just saying that it's an easier sell for Barry Trotz, a Stanley Cup winner who's third all-time in wins, than, say, maybe a first-time NHL head coach. I think it's an easier sell for him, and I think Barry has the evidence. He's holding it in his hand. He says Alex Ovechkin played 2.5 minutes fewer. His production was still high, and he got his name on that silver trophy that you want to be on. So I'm not saying it's going to be a hard sell for any coach, but what I'm saying is that there is evidence that Barry has got players to buy in before. I don't think that Blake's level of buy-in was an issue the same way that it was for Mark under Dave Lowry. And in fact, as you mentioned, Blake played some of his best hockey after he got separated from Mark and started playing with whether it was Paul Stastny or Pierre-Luc Dubois. So I do see Blake's level of buy-in not being an issue whatsoever. That's not what I meant it to sound like. But what I am saying is, I know you've talked about it with Murat as well, Blake is best served to be a middle six forward, and he can still be a second line right winger, but Nikolai Ehlers needs to see his minutes increased, and whoever else is brought in, those guys need to have their role expand in order for the Jets to continue to progress, because let's face it, Blake Wheeler's done a great job battling Father Time, but the battle doesn't get any easier the number of years that get tacked on to the battle. And Paul Stastny's a great example. Hadn't scored 20 goals in 6 years and managed to do it this year, and being a very highly productive player at the age of 36 years old. So no one's telling Blake Wheeler he needs to go away or play a reduced, stick him on the fourth line and hope it works out. That's not what anyone's saying at all. They're just saying there are other people on the roster that need more minutes, and shaving Blake's minutes might actually help get more out of Blake because of how hard he plays in the minutes that he's out there on the ice.
Well, you know what the funny thing is? I mean, and I get why the conversation about this sort of topic goes directly to Wheeler at his age and, his prominent spot in the lineup for so long. But I'll sit here and make the argument right now that regardless of whether it's Barry Trotz or whoever the new head coach is, I think that you're going to see some ice time, like with maybe a few exceptions. Potentially Ehlers plays in a more of a role and gets more power play time. He might go up. But I think the general average ice time of everyone in the top 9 goes down a little bit, because I would imagine one of the top priorities of any new head coach is to stop running a lineup out where you play a fourth line 3 or 4 minutes a night. I mean, look at the St. Louis Blues. Look at many of the good teams right now that are playing. They do not simply just ride 2 lines for the entire game like was so often happening with the Winnipeg Jets. And listen, I think part of it is personnel to make sure you have those guys that you can feel comfortable going forward. But I'm sure you'd agree with me that overall, big picture for the Winnipeg Jets, getting a more balanced lineup and having the confidence to play that fourth line will be a big priority, I think, going into next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why Barry fits so well. Look at all of his teams, whether it's Washington or obviously in New York. We know he leaned on that line a lot. But in Washington, too, he leaned on the Jay Beagle line a ton, or whoever he had at his disposal. And let's not kid ourselves. We were both in the building at Canada Life Center the other night. I happened to see 2 guys that I like on the same line that could be on the Jets' fourth line if they're not playing higher in the lineup, in Morgan Barron and David Gustafsson, and whoever else you decide to roll with on the fourth line, or who you bring in, whether it's Svechnikov, Harkins, or somebody else who's a right-handed shot. So, and those guys look good together the other night, I thought. And I know you agree, Huss, from being in the building for that big Game 3 win for the Moose. So I do think that for sure the Jets have to find a fourth line that will give them 8 to 10 minutes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And I think that whoever is the next head coach understands that. I mean, Dave Lowry understood it too, except just I think that the balance, he couldn't find the balance given some of the circumstances and guys that were out. But the fourth line needs to play more. This has not been a recent problem. This is a long-range problem, and the forecast is cloudy until it becomes sunny. So I'm expecting this to be one of the issues that gets sorted out very quickly. And again, if you're the Jets, you don't just want to play 82 games, Huss. You want to be playing 100 games or more. And that means needing to have 4 full lines that you can roll out there and be able to lean on in situations where injuries don't impact your season. Look at the LA Kings are such a great example, Huss. They had all the excuses in the world available to them. They're still playing without their best defenseman, yet they play an up-tempo game. They check their behinds off, and they're going to 7 games in a series that most people thought the Oilers might sweep. So to me, that's a great example of a no excuses type of scenario. And Todd McLellan has done just an absolutely, we talk about accountability and culture. Todd McLellan has done just such a bang-up job with the LA Kings. And sorry to veer off the side of the road here on the way to the buffet, but it's something that's just such a great example. Again, they played without Waugh and without Mikey Anderson and without Doughty. They got into the playoffs. Now they got a few guys back. They play the same way all the time. They're, they got blown out a couple of games, but guess what? That didn't bother them one bit because they knew that it's just a bunch of little 1-game series, right? You just get ready for the next one.
No doubt about it. Kenny Wiebe with us here. Follow him on Twitter at Weeb's World, and you can check out his work covering the Winnipeg Jets in the National Hockey League at Sportsnet.ca. I guess you got round 2 coming up. Avs and Blues. What a matchup that's going to be. Hey, listen, quickly on the playoffs, and I believe you were on the Blues to win that series. Am I correct on that? If you recall your prediction right? Nicely done. I still can't believe it didn't go 7. But Remis made a great comparison to what happened last night to Game 6 in 2019 with the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. And that, a really close-fought, heartbreaking loss in Game number 5 on home ice. And basically a no-show in the biggest game of the season. I mean, the disappointing way that the Wild season ended was a shock to me. And credit to the St. Louis Blues. But what did you think about that series? And what happened to the Wild? And was this their shot, considering that huge line item in their budget for the next 3 years, 12 million, 14 million, 14 million for the next 3 seasons?
Yeah, it's a tough goal. I mean, that was why they kind of went all in with Marc-Andre Fleury. Obviously, we know there are goaltending issues they need to sort out. They're going to need to massage some things with Cam Talbot. Kevin Fiala, not great timing after an unbelievable regular season, 33 goals. The old bagel doesn't look very good in the playoff bracket here. We know he scored that big double overtime winner against the Jets in Game 2 back in 2018. But this was a big-time opportunity for him to showcase himself for a big ticket contract, because he's not going to be able to get it with the Wild unless they have a bunch of surgery to the roster here. So it's interesting. And they just were undisciplined, Huss. So there's no way about it. I mean, at 5-on-5, the game was fairly even, but that power play of the Blues is absolutely lethal. David Perron just did an incredible job in terms of puck distribution. And let's not forget, the Blues were without Torrey Krug in this series. Scott Perunovich just rolls into the lineup and is on the first power play. I mean, and I guess they were also missing Bertuzzo late as well, but their 4 lines are exceptional. Ryan O'Reilly continues to be one of the best leaders in the National Hockey League, and they play 4 lines. I love the way that Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou have emerged. Barbashev is a guy who is very underrated, plays hard, and that deal for Pavel Buchnevich, just another exceptional masterclass by Doug Armstrong.
What about the non-deal for Tarasenko, who they were shopping around the entire league and left unprotected for the Seattle Kraken?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you need a little bit of luck, Huss. Let's not kid ourselves. And that would have been one of those situations where I think, with the benefit of hindsight, Ron Francis would like a mulligan on that one. And in some ways, maybe the Blues would also. But to me, 2 quick things, Huss. First, the Blues and also Tampa. You have recent Stanley Cup champions playing like champions. They play all 4 lines. They don't get rattled under any circumstances. Doesn't matter what the game is happening in front of them. They're able to kind of bring out their best in one another. They've got great leadership cores. And Jordan Binnington, who had Jordan Binnington winning the series, coming off the bench and winning the series for the St. Louis Blues. I did not see Binnington with the dramatic turnaround. Ville Husso has carried them during the stretch run, but again, that's another guy you can lean on when it matters most. Leafs, it's funny. The narrative is so easy given the fact
let's get into this for these 2 Game 7s tomorrow. So the Leafs, and I said this at the start, I've never been a Leaf fan, far from it. Frankly, a hater for the majority of my life. And, it's been fun. I mean, listen, the Leafs themselves have done nothing for my entire lifetime. So it's not like, they're the Habs that have all the banners or anything like that. And probably the most offensive thing about the Leafs, frankly, is their fan base. However, I find myself feeling for these guys, and I've been so impressed with the way they've played. That was a heartbreaking way to lose last night. They now go in back home. The stress and pressure of this Game 7 tomorrow is going to be unlike anything we've seen in recent history outside of like Stanley Cup finals. Yeah. And on the other hand, the Oilers were facing that last night without Darnell Nurse. Get the job done, led by a great start by Connor McDavid. Big win in the third period to get that goal from Tyson Barrie. We've got the Leafs, we've got the Oilers. Thoughts on both of their prospects and everything around those teams as they play Game 7s as favorites on home ice tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, it's not it would not be a comfortable situation for a Leafs fan, and we know there are many. But if you are a Leafs fan and you want to have reason to hope, you look at the play of Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner in this series. They've been excellent. So in years past, when they've had the struggles and the inability to close at 0-8, they haven't got enough from those two guys, but they are playing at a high level. Right now, it's the other guys that aren't doing enough right now for me, Huss, that aren't getting enough done. And again, Willie Nylander had a great game the other night. I mean, but they need a little bit more. I mean, Jason Spezza gets a fourth line goal for them. That's a big goal, but it's not their stars that have been holding them back. I don't think their defense has been good enough. I mean, TJ Brody is playing well, but they've had some struggles on the back end. And I mean, Jack Campbell has been equal to the task with Andrei Vasilevsky. But man, we knew the Lightning would be a tough out. I had the Lightning in 7, but boy, oh boy, it's a coin. It is a literal coin flip. There have been points in the series where you thought the Leafs were down and out in Beverly Hills, and then they looked like they were going to run away with it after bouncing back and couldn't close. So to me, I still see the Lightning advancing, but I won't be nearly as surprised if the Leafs find a way to win, just given how well that their star players are playing. Now, having said that, it's not a surprise in the least that Braden Point comes through with the big goal. This guy lives for those type of moments. You can count on him being, when Dave Lowry said all year, you got to get to the dirty areas. It's no surprise that Braden Point, not the biggest guy on the ice, got to the loose puck when it mattered most because he has the tenacity and he goes to the hard areas. So to me, it's going to be just an absolutely awesome Game 7. And in terms of the Oilers, impressive bounce back, especially after the Kings got to 2-2 in that game. There had not been a lead change, I don't think, the entire series. And boy, oh boy, they would have made him a little nervous. And again, you got to give the guy credit, Huss. I know that both of us expected there to be some combustion happening with EK91, but he's put up a 7 spot in a single series, and he has been an absolute force for the Edmonton Oilers. And I'll be curious to see too. I mean, there's a ton of pressure on the Oilers, just like there is, maybe not quite to the same degree as the Leafs, because the Leafs haven't won since 2004, haven't advanced past a single round. But there's pressure on Leon and Connor McDavid as well. Darnell Nurse coming back is certainly going to help them. But man, oh man, it is a tempest of accelerated emotion and cauldrons of emotion in both of those markets. And even too, that Game 7 in Carolina is going to be awesome too. I have the Bruins in 7. They haven't had a sniff on the road yet this series, but I'm not betting against Marchand and Bergeron in a Game 7. I mean, as long as Swayman plays okay, that should be a great series finale as well.
Yeah, no doubt about that. As far as tonight goes, and we'll get to the Coolbet lines a little bit later on, but we do have the Flames looking to advance, the Florida Panthers on the road, as well as the Rangers looking to extend their series. How many more Game 7s do you think we get out of tonight's action, Ken?
One for sure. I think the Rangers started to solve the Louis Domingue puzzle, and with no Sidney Crosby and our friend Emily Kaplan reporting that it is a concussion for Sidney Crosby, even though he was able to skate today. That is terrible news, but I would like to weigh in quickly. It was not as dirty a play as some Penguins fans believe. I don't think that Jacob Trouba, we've seen Jacob Trouba nail people and occasionally hit someone in the head. That was more accidental. His stick is caught in the skate, and then it was just one of those unfortunate series of events. I think Shesterkin has sort of found his solid ground after a tough go. in the middle with the 2 goalie pulls. I think the Flames have found their footing. Jake Oettinger has been dynamite in this series, and Jason Robertson finally got on the board. But to me, the fact that the Flames' top guns got rolling, Markstrom has been so good. I think they close it out tonight. And yeah, and then the other series, here's the crazy part. We see this every year. A good team that goes deep gets an incredibly scary scenario posed to them in the first round. The Panthers should be out of the playoffs, let alone having a chance to close out their series. Garnet Hathaway off the post and then a 3-0 lead in Game 5. Washington should be home and cooled. They're not. They won't roll over. They don't have Tom Wilson tonight either. But to me, I think the Panthers have finally found their footing as well, and they're probably going to advance here this evening. But yeah, hey, keep the Game 7s coming, us. We love the Game 7s, and as many as possible, keep them firing our way.
Well, we got 3 of them tomorrow, and hopefully at least 1 for Sunday to finish up an awesome first round in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Wiebe, have a great weekend. We'll look forward to catching up next week. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
My pleasure, my friend. Thanks for having me, and enjoy the chat with my main man, Eddie Tait, coming up around the bend here. Good to see Eddie, and I know it's been a fun week around rookie camp there as well. Fun time of the year for everyone.
You got it. Well, hey, listen, it was a busy night tonight. We had to hit the Moose, and we had to hit the Ice and the Goldeyes. We wanted to talk Jets with you, but we got to talk Bombers too. It's episode 300. Lots going on today on the program. Hey, so
congrats on 300. Pleasure to be part of it. Love what you're doing. Love to share the airwaves with you as always, and love the feedback that we're getting on this platform from the engagement from the great folks in Manitoba and beyond.
Well, I always like it. And I know I've done a good job when I can get through half an hour without getting a wake up from you. So we'll save that from Reynolds. He gives you enough reasons every time you get on with him. Have a good one, dude.
Take care, my man. Have a great weekend. Cheers.
All right, there it is, Kenny Wiebe. And yes, that's exactly what we're going to be doing, shifting over to the Bombers, discussing rookie camp and the upcoming training camp with Ed Tait. Just as we do that, a huge thanks to our friends Nick and Nikki and the Nick and Nikki DQ group. 4 locations in Winnipeg and southern Manitoba, the DQ in Niverville, home of the newest MJHL team starting next year. Very excited in that community for the new team. And of course, the 3 Winnipeg locations, DQ Northgate, DQ Polo Park, and DQ St. Anne's. Pop in for a delicious blizzard on the weekend. Check out the amazing new Stack Burgers. And if you're looking for a cake for a party or so, you can pick it up at any of those locations. Or if you want, hit them up on Instagram at DQ Manitoba. Let them know what you're looking for. They'll get it done for you, and you can pick it up fast and easy at any of the 4 Nick and Nikki DQs. And hey, Assiniboia Downs, I still have not gotten over the Kentucky Derby last week. What an amazing start to horse racing season. But it's just about time to horse around again. We got to wait an extra 8 days, though. Live racing at Assiniboia Downs every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. with no restrictions, and the return of ASD's famous prime rib buffet begins on May 31st. The season again features large wagering pools, setting up the chance for a big score. MTW, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. or you can watch and wager on Canada's largest legal horse race wagering site, hpibet.com. All right, we still have a marble race to come, so make sure to stick around for that. We've also got an opportunity for some Moose tickets for tonight. So we'll let you know about that as well. But right now, let's head back down to the south side and welcome in Eddie Tait from BlueBombers.com for the latest on the 3-down game. Edward, what's up? Thanks for doing this.
Great to be here, Husk. Congrats on 300 shows. That's awesome.
Hey, thanks a lot. Just grinding it out each and every day. It's been great to have the support of people like you. Always love talking to you, whether we're on the air or off the air. And listen, busy night tonight in the city with the 2 hockey teams playing and the Goldeyes starting their season. But it's been a busy week out at IG Field because rookies on the field, training camp getting ready to go. What's the vibe like around Blue Bomber HQ right now? And how's the rookie camp been in your eyes?
Well, today was a bit of a challenge. I needed an anchor to stay grounded because I've never been in a wind like that at a training camp, that's for sure. It's kind of a typical rookie camp. Guys are popping off the page, and you just want to wait until Sunday when the vets arrive to see who can still pop off the page with the veterans here and who disappears as often is the case. I guess there's a little bit of a black cloud, or maybe a big black cloud kind of hanging over with the uncertainty with the CBA being negotiated right now in Toronto and the current CBA expiring tomorrow night. So I'm not sure if that's going to impact things on Sunday or how it might impact things on Sunday if that's not concluded yet. The rookie camp was fun. It's just great to be back out here again and see these guys. There was one day where Willie Jefferson and Brandon Alexander came to watch from their truck, and I think we're all excited to see. There's a lot of these guys are coming back, and Sunday hopefully everybody is back with a CBA in their back pocket too.
What do you mean they're watching from the truck? They still have the trucks out there from the Grey Cup celebration back in December? You just do a couple laps around? They must have moved it up. I was at the soccer game last Sunday. I didn't see any trucks on the field.
Well, you look, Willie's got a new truck with his name on the side. You won't miss it.
It looks amazing.
Yeah. So keep your eye open.
They did that wrap over with our friends at the Winnipeg Car Lab over at Not Autocorp. Everyone was fired up to be working that. And there'll be no questioning where Big Willie J is on the roads in Winnipeg at any point this year. Just quickly on the CBA, it's been interesting to see the back and forth, what the league presented originally, what we're hearing from the players. I guess I'll just ask you this. Are you hearing anything that sounds positive right now? I mean, what's the latest on this? Sometimes with these sort of things, I think no news is good news. Hopefully they're making progress, but I really have no reason to truly believe that other than just sort of hoping that this gets done and we focus on what we really want to, and that's training camp in the upcoming season.
Well, it seems to be the MO with the CFL and all the years I've been covering it, that these things go right up to the 11th hour and then it gets hammered out. And I'm hoping that's the case here. I'll be honest, I'm like a lot of people. I'm just following what I'm hearing on Twitter. And, it doesn't sound like they had a lot of ground to make up, let's put it that way. I hate these things. When I was covering the Jets, we had that lockout year or whatever it's called, the strike year, and it was down to the 48-game season. I hate that stuff. As a fan, I hate reading this stuff. I hate talking about this stuff because all of us just want to see the players out there doing their thing, whether it's on the ice, on the field, on the diamond, whatever. And this kind of stuff drives me crazy. I'm just hoping that they can get together in a room with some, beer and some pizza and get this thing hammered out before the deadline comes on Saturday. Because, this league lost a season in 2020. We only had a 14-game regular season last year. Didn't start until August. It's time to kind of move on and get back to quote unquote normal around here. And I think everybody wants to see that. And so this kind of stuff, for me, it's an annoying distraction. And I'm just hoping that when I wake up on Sunday morning, it's all been put to bed already.
Amen to that. Get it done. Signed, every fan of the Canadian Football League. All right, Ed, just quickly on rookie camp, any guys stand out? And you mentioned the wind today. Did the new Aussie punter get a chance to blow a few in the wind of IG Field?
Yeah, it was interesting. The Aussie punters, it's pretty cool to see him do his thing. I was watching him really closely on Wednesday, and he's got all kinds of weird kicks. The helicopter kicks. There's one that looks like it's dropped straight down out of a helicopter, the way the spin on it. He's got a bit of rust to work out, but he's a two-time Ray Guy winner as the best punter in the NCAA. And I think I mentioned this before when I was on with you. He was voted the All Pac-12 punter of all time, and so he's got some skill. He's just got to knock off some rust. It was weird today, though. You'd think that they were practicing punting with the wind, but they had Ali Murtada kicking into the wind, which could be a nightmare for a guy's confidence. But he actually did really well today, considering he was staring into that gale force wind.
Has he been helped by the new hash marks? That was the minute I saw the hash marks, I'm like, you know what? This helps one guy, Ali Murtada, who kicked the straight, but just seemed to have a hard time lining the damn thing up last year when he played.
He talked about that today after practice, Billy. That was a real subject in the media availability. I guess when he went back to Arizona in the offseason, he brought some CFL balls with him and was kicking from where the CFL hash marks would have been. And then, just last month, they switched him to narrower to where he used to be kicking from. So I'm not sure if that can get to a guy's head or not, but he looked pretty good today. We'll see what happens. Mark Leggio's will be kicking too. And, I don't think they've ruled out the possibility that if these guys struggle in early in camp, that there might be someone else airlifted in. But for right now, it's those two guys as probably the place kickers. Mark Leggio was the punter last year. He'll still get some work there, but it's hard not to be impressed a little bit with what we've seen from Tom Hackett already.
Well, hey, and just quickly fill us in on how, I mean, he was picked in the global draft. We've often seen, and part of the reason why Legio, I think, was in the mix, he was a Canadian. They drafted him. We all know about the ratio that hopefully is still going to be a part of the league going forward. If Hackett's the guy, how does having a global special teamer work? Will that be an advantage? Is that essentially just like it's not a win or a loss? I mean, you still have your Canadians, but you do have a spot for the global player and he could take it?
Yeah, that's a possibility. I guess you'd have a little bit more flexibility. Theodric Hansen isn't back as of right now. Les Maruo, who they really like, is the Japanese linebacker who was here last year. I would expect him to be the global player. But if they go with two, then it's easy with Hackett because if you back him up with Murtada or Legio, they can just step in there. I don't think in his circumstance it really matters whether he's a global, American, Canadian. They just want someone that can hoof it high and far and get it out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. So he could be Martian for all they care.
Have you had a chance to talk to him at all? I mean, I did a bunch of reading on him. Sounds like a really interesting dude. I know he was kind of involved in sports media back in Utah. You mentioned his incredible resume as one of the most accomplished punters ever in the NCAA. And of course, he's an Aussie too at 30 years old. And this, in his opinion, was sort of his last crack. I mean, what's he like when you get a chance to talk to him, and just how excited is he to try and get back kicking and do it at the pro level?
Yeah, he's had a couple of scrums today. I'll be honest. I saw everybody kind of gravitating to him, and I'm planning on talking to him later in camp. I went back though and watched. He did some work for ESPN. He did some work for a TV station in Salt Lake City. And if you just Google his name and see, he's pretty funny. The stand-up stuff he did. They sent him to I think a monster truck show to do a report, and he was clearly out of his element. But that's what made it fun. I think he's quite the character. And so for guys like me, I hope he makes the team because it'll never be boring around here.
Well, I'll tell you what, we can't wait to have him on Winnipeg Sports Talk for the first time. Hopefully things go well, go forward. Listen, we're going to get through rookie cap. Fill us in on the schedule, presuming hopefully there's no delays, if you will. Once we get to Sunday, what's happening?
Yeah, there'll be we haven't got a practice schedule times yet for Sunday. I don't know if we're just waiting to see what happens. I see some other teams, Calgary and Hamilton, have sent out their exact times for Sunday. I'm not sure if this is CBA related or not, but we're supposed to be on, if everything's normal, we'll be out there Sunday, and then it's not too long before we're in a preseason game in Regina. So it happens quick in this league, which I kind of like because I couldn't handle 2 weeks of training camp without a game in there, or somehow to have something different to write about and see how guys do in a preseason game. And that's one thing that's going to be cool about this year compared to last year is that we went, an entire training camp without any preseason games. And so today they were practicing with some kick return candidates. And I don't know how you really evaluate those guys unless you see them in game action, because it's one thing to catch a ball from a punter throwing it to you or from flying from the jugs machine. It's another when you've got the 12 guys barreling down on you and trying to take your head off. So I think there's a lot of guys in this rookie camp and a lot of guys in the main training camp that would say before that they never wanted to play in a preseason game, but now they're dying to play in one because it's how you get properly evaluated.
No doubt about it, especially the guys coming out of rookie camp over the last few days with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now, Ed at bluebombers.com, you've done some fine work getting fans ready for the training camp with positional previews of all the different positional sections. Last year, the most interesting group was, of course, the DBs. They brought in 35 of them, or whatever, and ended up finding a couple real diamonds that helped them win another championship. And we won't go through them all, but is there one particular area of the football club when it comes to positions that's the most intriguing to you that we should be paying attention to when things get going?
Yeah, there's still, I'm looking at the list now here, Huss, and there's 27 DBs in camp this year. And there's going to be a couple spots there. DeAndre Alford gets signed by the Atlanta Falcons, and Brandon Alexander's coming off surgery, so they might have to start, American or Canadian at safety for the first chunk of the season. There's Corey Strotter, who was a bit with Jacksonville, a big DB. He's in camp. And Patrice Rene really pops off the page. He was a draft pick by the Bombers last year. He's 6'2", over 200. He runs really well. He's a corner candidate. I always like watching the receivers. There's 19 receivers in camp. And there's going to be change there too, right? Because Kenny Lawler's gone, Darvin Adams is gone. And I look at this list. Greg Ellingson is an experienced guy that we all kind of expect to be an 1,000-yard kind of receiver. One guy I'm going to really keep my eye on, like a lot of people, is Jalen Saunders, and whether he can regain his form that was so impressive when he was in Hamilton before he blew out his knee and then was hurt in a car accident. It's been a long time for him, so he's a guy to keep an eye on. Kyle Walters recently raved about Brendan O'Leary-Orange, the big Canadian draft pick from a couple of years ago, and how he changed his body. I didn't know what that meant until I talked to Brendan the other day, and he's just leaner and meaner, and he's looks like a guy that's chasing a starting job. Blake Jackson, I wrote about him last year. He blew his Achilles, looked like he was going to make the team. He's back. There's a ton of guys, Hassan, and so it's going to be fun to see when you get them working with Zach Collaros with that offensive line in front of them and taking reps, some of these guys against the veteran DBs who can stand out. So if everything goes according to plan and we're on the field on Sunday, the intensity level should crank up an awful lot because the vets just bring it. That's what why this team is so strong, is that the vets don't clown around, and there won't be anybody here on Sunday that's thinking they got this team made.
And speaking of not clowning around, how's our pal Coach doing? The game face on? Does he look like he's ready to coach the championship game right now as we get into training camp? Or could he possibly be a little laid back after 2 championships?
The game face is always on with Coach O'Shea, right? I mean, it's all business out there. And I'm watching near the end of practice today. It was a windy, cool, kind of crappy day out there. And I think a lot of guys were whispering to some of our equipment people, how long before we're done? How long before we're done? And near the end, the defensive line was lining up offside, and you could hear Coach O'Shea probably throughout Fort Richmond yelling, "Get back, get back, get back." So his attention to detail is as sharp as ever, and so is his intensity.
Oh my God. If guys are asking if they're close to be done right now, I mean, listen, can we cut those guys right now? Tell them not to bother. This is the Canadian Football League. If you think this is bad, fellas, just wait till we get down the stretch of the season. Ed, thanks for doing this. Exciting times. Let's have our fingers crossed that when we get back on the air on Monday, we're talking about all systems go for Blue Bomber training camp. Always great having you on the show, and hopefully we can catch up next week for a little bit more of the sights and sounds of what's going on over at IG Field for the champs.
Right on, Huss. Thanks for having me on. And when is the marble race? I'm interested in
the marble race is coming right up, Ed. Okay. In fact, we're putting you in one. You are. There will be an Ed Tait marble in the race. So good luck, and thanks again for doing this.
Right on, buddy. Thanks.
All right, great stuff. There it is, Ed Tait finishing off an absolute whirlwind today on the program, and it had to be that way. I mean, we got playoff games tonight for the Moose and the Ice. We got the opener for the Goldeyes. We got training camp for the Bombers. Of course, we had to talk about the latest goings on around the Winnipeg Jets. We've covered all the bases, and now it's time to get Michael Remis back in here and get ready to drop the marbles. And of course, our friends at Canadian Club have been great partners of ours with the marble race. We do have our version of the Masters green jacket, the Winnipeg Sports Talk Canadian Club hoodie. First place will get you one. And in the meantime, for the weekend, may I suggest you pop by your local beer store or liquor mart and grab yourself a 6-pack or more of the new ready-to-drink Canadian Club and Ginger Ale mixer. Had one when I got home last night after watching the games. Phenomenal. It will be the drink of the summer right now. Hop on over and try it out this weekend. And again, check out those Canadian Club displays at any of the Manitoba liquor marts. Remo, get in here. We'll get to the Coolbet lines in a minute, but even Ed Tait fired up for the marble race today. So maybe we should get things opened up, start collecting names, talk about these games tonight, and then get ready to give out some prizes.
Yeah, real Friday mood. I don't know if you've been following the chat since Ken was on. Were you following what was going on there?
Not really. I've been super busy. I saw a lot of people saying T names or something. I saw you had said Tyrus.
Okay, so there's a chatter, T. Will, who's been here pretty much every day.
Of course, shout out to T. Will.
He gave us a super chat earlier.
Thanks, T.
And so someone was like, what does the T stand for? And T. Will, the first time like anyone has ever said this in our chat. And like people just started going off like, wrote Ken. This is what it's been. So our whole chat got completely derailed. There's people with legitimate hockey questions about Wheeler and Scheifele and who the next coach is going to be, but it was all just like any T name under the sun was getting. It was actually pretty funny. I actually thought it was good for our YouTube engagement. They see a lot of people are chatting nonstop, and maybe they
Did Loveface show up?
Show our video to know. No, I think I banned Loveface, or I don't know. But we haven't seen Tinder XYZ in chat either. We haven't seen any of those today. There was someone popped in at the end of the stream yesterday, kept them all out. But the marble race entries are open. I see people furiously typing exclamation mark
Perfect.
marbles.
Yeah. So you know what to do. If you are new, though, we have had a ton actually of new subs and new people in the channel over the last couple of weeks. This is the most fun part of the entire week. Completely free. All you need to do is put in exclamation mark marbles, as you see everyone doing in the chat. We'll give you a couple minutes to do that. We'll grab all the names. Everyone will get a marble, as well as our guest today, and we'll throw them out. We got a prize for first place. And once again, we'll do last marble across the line. We'll hook you up with a cake to pick up from one of the Nick and Nikki DQ locations. And here, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add, we are closing in on a milestone number of subs too. So make sure you hit that red button if you haven't. I know like 30% of people here are not subscribed. So make a YouTube account.
Well, you got to be subscribed to win, folks. So, let's participate. Let's help the boys out. Red button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up while you're at it. Put in exclamation mark marbles, and maybe you could start off your weekend as a winner here on WST. And by the way, hey, Cody Karen, thanks a lot for becoming a supporter. If you see those folks with the green microphones in the chat, those are the supporters of it. We've actually done some great giveaways for the supporters as well. $2 a month. Really appreciate it, Cody, and everyone else that's been with us through 300 episodes, and looking forward to many, many more. All right, we'll give you 30 seconds to, if you're just popping in, it's marbles time, exclamation mark marbles, do it up. Remo, if you want to just close that up in a minute and get going, I will get to the lines for our friends over at Coolbet Canada tonight. Rangers and Penguins. The Rangers are a road favorite. The loss of Sidney Crosby, listen, it's terrible. As much as I'm sort of on the Rangers, and we've talked about hoping that they win because of the potential of moving one of those second-round picks to a first-round pick if the Rangers can win 2 rounds. The last thing you want to do is see them win because the arguably the best player in the playoffs so far, Sidney Crosby's out, but it looks that way. Jacob Trouba making some contact with the head, somewhat controversial hit. No Sidney Crosby tonight. The Penguins are plus 103 at home, and the Rangers are minus 119 on the road to get the series to 7. And as I mentioned on the Lock Shop earlier today with Dusty, I don't mind the Rangers plus 200 to win the series right now. I think if they get this win tonight, especially with Crosby being out, very good chance that they pull it off, especially if Shesterkin can get back to the guy that we saw in the regular season as a Vezina and Hart Trophy finalist. Also, okay, that's a 6 o'clock game, 6:30. It's the Panthers and Caps. Capitals at home trying to stave off elimination. Florida minus 159 favorite. Washington plus 140. And then the finale tonight, 8:30 start in Dallas. The Calgary Flames and the Dallas Stars. Dallas plus 136 at home. Calgary minus 161. And if you saw me on the Lock Shop, I think this is a big night for Calgary. I think they finish it off in style. I'm taking the Flames on the puck line to win by 2. That number is up to plus 171 tonight. All the bets available at Coolbet. We do have 3 games tomorrow, game 7s. Canes minus 132 favorite at home to advance against the Bruins. That's a 2:30 game. The Leafs minus 118. Lightning even money or just above it, plus 101 in the 6 o'clock game tomorrow. And the Oilers minus 189. Kings plus 157 for your triple header of game 7 action tomorrow. Again, if you haven't bet at Coolbet before, use the promo code WST on your first deposit. We'll hook you up with a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. All right, Reem, how are we looking for the marbles? And by the way, shout out to Retro Winnipeg, who sent over 3 tickets for the game tonight. So what we'll maybe do is I'll tell you what, second place in the marble race, if they want Moose tickets tonight, we'll get you set up. And otherwise, we might have an extra pair as well. I'll invite you if you want to just send me a tweet at Hustlerama or slide into my DMs. Anyone interested in a pair of tickets for the Moose game tonight, the Moose playoffs, I will be there. We'll try and get you set up with one if we can. But certainly second place, you will have the option to go. And thanks to a Retro Winnipeg, by the way, check out the YouTube channel. Some incredible gold there going forward. All right, Remo, how are we looking? How many people do we have in for today's marble race, and where are we going?
Yeah, I'll close it in. We got 142 in.
Nice.
100, and I did want to do an unboxing as well. I think it would be fun on a Friday. Up
we
to
most
you.
certainly will do that. Yeah, well, absolutely. Let's do the
Okay.
marble race, and at the end, you've got a little unboxing to do, and we'll also see whether we can hook up a couple listeners with some tickets to go and see the Moose. And by the way, congratulations to Leslie Mitchnuck. Leslie won the Wheel of Winners on Wednesday or Tuesday for the game. Sat right beside Leslie. It was great to meet him, and thanked him for always being with us here on WST. So 102. Now we also need to add Ed Tait. We promised Ed a marble. Reem?
Yeah, 142. 142.
42, excuse me. So let's add Ed Tait.
Yeah.
Let's add Ken Wiebe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's add Goldeyes GM.
Okay.
Let's add the Fink.
Okay.
And let's add Munz. All of our guests today are in the marble races as well. And frankly, they're all eligible to win. If one of them wins, we will get a hoodie for them, and maybe double it up. We'll see how generous we are feeling at the end if that actually does happen. Actually, and put us in too.
Put us in? Okay.
Yeah, I haven't had a marble in a while. I'd like to see where I go.
People are asking for Barry Trotz.
Oh, Barry Trotz for sure. And in fact, put it in all caps, just so we know we're emphasizing Barry always has a spot here at the WST table.
Okay, they're done. Barry Trotz, marble. Do you want to give Matt Savoy a marble too? Or?
Yeah, great call. Matt Savoy, absolutely. And you know what? Morgan Barron. And I think both of those guys have big games tonight.
Appreciate Morgan Barron dealing with our technical issues yesterday. It was very nice of him.
Well, I think those were more on, hey, he's just in a bad internet spot and it wasn't working. But and you know what? Shout out to you as well, because you did some great work behind the scenes to somehow concoct that operation where we were able to take a phone call on the fly. But it all worked out well. So there it is. Everything's closed. We've got the marbles ready to go. We'll tee that up. And in the meantime, in the chat, everybody, who do you like, Tracy? Huss lost his marbles long ago. Tracy, really? You're not wrong. Let's see. What else do we want to hit us up with your I want to hear your predictions for Oilers in Game 7 and Leafs in Game 7. Just who's going to win those games? If you think both, put Oilers and Leafs, or you let us know if they're going to lose. Let's get it down. We'll have the receipts. We'll be able to go to the chat and see what people had for those Game 7s. Of course, as we quote our good friend Ken Wiebe.
I got to check my bracket challenge. Actually, I don't think I said my predictions yesterday. I went 1 for 3. I had Tampa winning, which they did, but I had lost on every other game. Hopefully, you didn't listen to me.
No,
and
I put a very small sprinkle on the Remis parlay, which was a donation, but I was perfect the night before. I'm going 1 day on, 1 day off. So yesterday was the off day. I was perfect on Wednesday. Hopefully going to have another great night tonight, as I said. I also like the under 6.5 in the Panthers Caps game. I'm on Rangers money line, and I'm on Flames puck line. I actually put all those together for a parlay in excess of 9-1. Just so you know, you can get that over at Coolbet Canada.
Okay, I'm looking at I did have Colorado in 4. That seemed like an easy one. I had Calgary in 4. That was wrong. LA, I have them in 7. All right. Florida, I have them in 5. That's wrong. I have Tampa in 7. I had Carolina in 6. Couldn't quite close it out yesterday. I do have the Rangers in 7. So I'm actually, my bracket's looking not bad. I'm in decent shape. Minnesota really, really blew it. I feel bad for Wild fans.
You're like the guy saying, hey, I'm in first place after the first 2 days of the March Madness.
Well, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I want to keep track of how I'm doing. I mean, there's only one series that's over right now. It's crazy.
There's two now, of course, because Minnesota's out now.
Oh,
and
sorry, Minnesota. Yeah, they're out.
That was not good for my bracket. I thought Minnesota would win, and I thought they would really give the Avalanche a run in the next round. But now that's up to the Blues. Anyways, let's get to the marbles. I know you've got to unbox something. We've got to get some prizes out to folks.
Sure.
And we've got to get some Moose Tuckets to people. So here we go. Friday afternoon. This is how we finish off a great week. And once again, thanks again to everyone. Welcome to all the new subscribers and new viewers and listeners to Winnipeg Sports Talk that have found us over the last couple of weeks. Been amazing to see how those numbers have grown, and we really appreciate it. We welcome you all. Just make sure you've hit the red subscribe button and you are subscribed so you're eligible to win the great prizes courtesy of Winnipeg Sports Talk and our friends over at Canadian Club.
Big milestone number of subs coming up. We're closing in on 6,900. So
yeah, and then 69.
Yeah,
you're gonna stop subs after that. We're just gonna hold
no
at that
more
number.
are allowed. I gotta take my screenshots, post it on social media. We're so close to a really nice number, so it's coming up. It's coming up in the next like month or something. Who knows?
All right. Well, you can get that up. I'm just gonna take a look at some of these predictions. Fritchie, Leafs L, Oilers win. Dennis Ferreira, quick shutout and Bolts blowout. Lots of love for the Oilers, not so much for the Leafs right now, although we got some Kings in there. All right, well, listen, we can't start the marbles without Tristan Rivers officially getting the proceedings underway. Hit the music. All right, the marbles are loaded up. What do we got here? The marble fabrication. What course is this, Reem?
The Factory 2.
Ooh.
Not 1. I think we've played 1. This is 2. I don't know what this is. Looks new. Starting with your standard marble Plinko drop. So they're all in there.
I love it. All right, we got just about 150 marbles in. All of our great guests today. Barry Trotz is in. Huss and Remis are in. And all of you that entered are in. Again, we're playing first prize for a Winnipeg Sports Talk co-branded Canadian Club hoodie. Last place marble will hook you up with an ice cream cake from our friends over at the Nick and Nicky DQ group. And second place and potentially third place, some tickets for tonight's Manitoba Moose playoff game over at Canada Life Center. Make sure you hit the red subscribe button. And without further ado, good luck to everybody. 300 episodes in, another Friday. It means it's time to drop them on WST.
They're off.
Here we go. I like this. The Factory. Oh, marbles going down on both sides. Good starts earlier. Oh, there's the Fink. The Fink with a big start right now. We see the Doctor. Spills is in there. What's up, Spills? Who else is in here today? Ben Lawrence, remember? Morgan Barron, early leader. Wouldn't this be something if Morgan Barron won the WST marble race? Former champion Les Thompson in second place right now. Wow, Goldeyes GM in third place, and Winnipeg superfan and last week's second place winner Mike Wynn in fourth place. Wow, this is an absolute who's who of Winnipeg Sports Talk, both listeners and guests all popped up at the beginning, and it is Les Thompson in the lead right now. We're getting into, Isha Boy Bruce looking good as well. We've got Mary Lou, the Fink, Delta Blue. It is anyone's race right now, but Caitlin Vonnegrad is in first place. Mary Lou Waschuk with a nice start. Caitlin, though, back into the lead as the Factory 2 takes Caitlin closer and closer to the final destination. James Irwin in second place. The Fink and Les Thompson trying to make up some ground. Derek McGoran just going over the top rope. An elimination early. Sorry about that, Derek. And can anyone catch Caitlin? Caitlin's coming down the stretch. James Irwin hot on the heels of our leader with the Fink and Les Thompson coming up in 3rd and 4th place. Things are getting tricky here. Caitlin coming out of some sort of a tube going into the funnel. And now we see who gets down first. James Irwin with the pass. James Irwin's in front. The Fink's in 2nd place. Oh, James Irwin with an elimination at the end. The Fink out as well. Morgan Barron over the top rope. Who will make it into it? Greg M. Oh, he missed it as well. Alana Sutton, Les Thompson, Turd Ferguson down the stretch right now. Will it be Alana Sutton? Stopped right at the end. Can she get in? Yes, Alana Sutton, the winner of today's marble race. That might be one of the greatest marble races we've had so far this year. Alana Sutton, you are our champion. Congratulations. And wow, Les Thompson, WSTOG, former winner, comes in 2nd. Les, let me know if you want to go to the Moose game tonight. Please send us an email to winnipegsportstalk@gmail.com. If you do want it, let us know if you want 1 ticket, if you want 2 tickets. I will love to see you there tonight. And you know what? Krugs as well. Krugs, 3rd place. If you can make the game tonight, do me a favor, send an email over to winnipegsportstalk@gmail.com. And if you would like a pair of seats, we'll get you hooked up for that. We're looking now for the final marble to actually cross the finish line to see who's in for the cake. Cruiser, Jerry Kanzi, there's Jason Jett. And again, the over the top ropes, the eliminations don't count. Oh, Bozeman. Sean, you were just about going to be in there for the cake, but it didn't happen. Who will be the final one in? T. Konopali, I see taking his time. Kevin Kowaluk as well. Stonewall Dave is in. Mike Ladarni, T. Konopali. Kevin Kowaluk is in. Mike Ladarni, T. Konopali. I think T. Konopali is our final one. Let's make sure about that. The king of all caps in the chat, T. Konopali. But Alana Sutton, nice to get the ladies into the winner's circle for a change. And there were some amazing female marbles in there, but Alana stands tall, winning today's marble race with a nice. To be honest, Alana smoked you all and won by almost 6 seconds today. Wow, Remis getting in 7th. Nice work, dude. If you can go down to the bottom, let's just confirm that T. Konopali is the final marble across the line successfully. And if that is the case, we'll make a point of, I see Ross Ransby in there. Ross, you smoked booze today. There was a couple of my friends that always have a friendly wager between each other. You would have beaten him anyways. Booze got blown over the top rope at the end, but you came in there. Goldeyes GM had a nice start. Did not work out too well, though. Going all the way down. Can we have confirmation? Is that T. Konopali with the final marble across the way, Reem?
Yeah, sorry. I'm responding to someone in chat saying, do you have to pay to get in? No! Exclamation mark marbles when we asked for the command before the race.
Yeah, no, absolutely free. Much like the show. If you do want to support the channel, though, become a member. It's $2 a month. We've got some neat little promos for it. Sorry, I just missed that at the top. It was T. Konopali?
It was T. Kona, yeah.
Okay, T. Konopali, nice work. Send an email to winnipegsportstalk@gmail.com. I'll get back with you, and we'll figure out what DQ of the 4 Nick and Nicky DQs is easiest for you to pick up, and then I'll let you know when it is ready. And again, we've got Krugs and Les. I definitely have tickets for you. And if you do want to go to the Moose game and you weren't Krugs or Les Thompson, feel free to send me a DM at Hustlerama on Twitter. And I think there's a good chance we might have an extra pair of tickets. And if that's the case, I'll pick someone, DM you back, and get the tickets sent out. Wow, an amazing marble race to finish off the program today. Now, Remo, we've taken care of the marbles. Winners, send the emails in. We'll get you set up. Let's get this unboxing. I know you just had a delivery, and it's been a little while since we've done an unboxing. In fact, I've got a box to unbox as well here. But I'm most interested to see yours because I think I have a feeling what sort of an item it is.
Did I tell you what this was?
No.
I don't know if I did, but this is the unboxing.
I don't know what it is. You just said you had something that might be good for an unboxing today.
I think this would be good for an unboxing. So let me open it. I got these Amazon Basic scissors. They're pretty good, FYI. You can get a 3-pack. Pretty good, but let's open the box.
What do we have here?
Let me just cut it off screen. I don't want to accidentally show my address. So hold on. But yeah, this will be a good one. I think. But yeah, that was Huss. I think that might have been your best marble race call ever.
Oh, thank you. I was feeling it today.
And I mean, it was close at the end. I thought Fink was going to take it or Caitlin was in there, but they got caught up, and it was Alana Sutton out of nowhere coming in.
A huge win by Alana. Now, I obviously don't have any experience calling National Hockey League games, but do you think the Jets and TSN might accept my expert play-by-play of the marble race to throw my hat in the ring for potentially 82 games on TSN 3 next year?
I'll clip that and send it in as your demo. It was
Thank you.
It was
Thank
incredible.
You very much.
TSN, take note. All right, let's see what we got in here. All right, what do we have? Oh, it's got a green thing. All right, are you ready for this? Here we go.
Yes. What is that? A card?
It's a card. Oh wait, I never ordered this. Oh, this isn't what I.
Felix Potvin?
This isn't what I ordered. Hold on.
But maybe it's just a cover or something.
It could be a cover. It could be a cover. Because I swear that wasn't it.
A useless Felix Potvin card. This is going to be a real downer if the only thing we're finding is a Felix Potvin card. Oh, here we go.
Oh, it's autographed. Whose autograph is that? What is it? It's a Dennis Bayak autograph card. Oh yeah.
Speaking of Dennis Bayak.
Speaking of
I had no idea this was coming up. The Upper Deck Auto Voices of the Game card, the legendary Dennis Bayak. Well, damn, I need one of those.
Once he retired, I was like, man, this is going to go up in value here. So I know he's doing the Worlds right now, but I have to have this in the collection. May not be making too many more of these. So there it is, the Dennis Bayak Voices of the Game collection.
What year is that from? Can you tell? I can't remember what set came out with those.
Could be his Jets rookie card. I don't know. Let me see. Here's the back. I can't see. I can't
Voice
read it.
of the Winnipeg Jets.
There you go. So I might have to send this one in to get graded.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, graded. Listen, that's never leaving your collection.
No.
That's going to be there forever. You can give it to Evan. You can wax poetic on stories about Dennis before my incredible work on the marble race got me a job in the TSN booth. As if. Yeah, here's a little marble. Here's a little unboxing as well. I got this set up. I have no idea what it is. I have a feeling that Remis ordered it. And what is this? Is a new mic sock?
Oh yeah, it's a new mic sock. Yeah, it should be reducing your plosives. So when you say P sounds, so you can
popping some P's on the
program.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be a more premium mic sock. So we're all about the audio quality.
Definitely not as cool as a Dennis Bayak autographed Upper Deck Voices of the Game card. I'll tell you that much. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, this has been a super, super fun show. We have gone way long, so we do need to get this done so we can get the pods up so everyone can listen to everything before puck drop tonight. Whether you're heading out to the ice game, the ballpark, or the Moose game, make the most of it tonight. It is a great night to be a Winnipeg sports fan. And again, if you do want to go to the Moose game, send me a DM or hit me up on Twitter at Hustlerama. And in the next little bit, I'm just going to see what we get back from the winners. Might have a pair or two to give out to someone. I will be at the game tonight. Look for me. Old school, game-worn, Brian Chapman, IHL Moose jersey. Pretty sure I'll be the only one with it. And should be a great, great night. And then, hey, fingers crossed, we'll be back there on Sunday afternoon for a deciding Game 5, Reem.
Yeah, hopefully. And
are you gonna come to the game tonight, by the way?
I got to double check. You have a ticket for me?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a dinner, but I'll try to make it after.
Yeah, you can go early for dinner and then grab me on the way downtown.
Oh, great.
Okay, I'm certainly not driving tonight.
All right, we'll have to.
It's Friday. Anyways, we'll be there, folks. And obviously tickets available for both the Moose and the Ice at their respective websites and the Goldeyes. And I guess if the Moose don't win tonight, probably head over to the Fish game on Sunday afternoon. Definitely next Tuesday or Wednesday. Hopefully the weather's a little bit nicer. Get out, have a couple little brown jugs out at the ballpark today. Everybody, thanks again. 300 in. Here's to 300, 3,000 more on Winnipeg Sports Talk. A huge thanks to all the sponsors that make this show happen. And of course, our guests, Kenny Wiebe, Ed Tait, the Fink, Daniel Fink, voice of the Moose, Brian Munz, voice of the Ice, and Andrew Collier, the general manager of the Winnipeg Goldeyes. Folks, have an awesome weekend. Enjoy those games tonight. Maybe you'll see you downtown at Canada Life Center. And either way, make sure you're back with us live 1 p.m. Monday to Friday on YouTube right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily.
Oh, my God. Oh! Shut it down. Let's go home.
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.